Chapter 1235. After killing Wu Shan, Night Sorrow retrieved the sky-piercing spear and the soul-extinguishing crescent moon blade. He then retreated and rushed towards the Ice Qilin. When Ling Ju forced the Ice Qilin to retreat, Night Sorrow ordered the Ice Qilin to crash into the mountain as he needed a way out. After meeting up with the Ice Qilin, Night Sorrow threw a bottle of 7 deadly poison smoke behind him. Then he and the Ice Qilin fled into the mountain. The Ice Qilin's hind legs were still shaking violently, causing the ground behind it to collapse, blocking Ling Ju's pursuit. First, Ling Ju, who was in pursuit, saw the blue 7 deadly poison smoke. He was stunned for a moment before he stopped. A sword chi flew towards Night Sorrow's back. The sword chi was too fast. Night Sorrow couldn't dodge it. He had no choice but to activate the 9 heavy armor and use the power of Desolates to protect himself. At the same time, he continued to charge forward with the Ice Qilin. With an explosion, Night Sorrow's body almost fell. Ling Ju's sword chi attacked his back, but it was blocked by the 9 heavy armor. If Ling Ju was at his peak, Night Sorrow wouldn't be able to block it even with the 9 heavy armor. Ling Ju was hit by the soul-extinguishing smoke, so he was very cautious. Most of his energy was used to suppress the soul-extinguishing smoke, so Night Sorrow was able to block it. After advancing for a while, Night Sorrow and the Ice Qilin charged downwards with all their might. The ice mountain was very hard, but the Ice Qilin was born with great strength. In addition to his strong body, he was able to crash down with all his might. "I, Ling Ju, will definitely kill you," Ling Ju roared. He was extremely angry, but he couldn't chase after him. After a few breaths, Night Sorrow and the Ice Qilin reached the mysterious ice river and charged into it. After running for a while, Night Sorrow wrapped the Ice Qilin with his soul power and entered the Dragon Cauldron. They descended for a while before stopping. Then he released his soul power to investigate the battle just now. He was already dozens of miles away. At this distance, Ling Ju couldn't dig him out, but he could observe Ling Ju's actions. Night Sorrow knew that there had been a lot of accidents involved in killing Dark Mountain. Under normal circumstances, there should have been no chance at all. Killing Dark Mountain was already an incredible achievement. It was unrealistic to want to fight against Ling Ju. Ling Ju was still able to fight after being poisoned by the soul-destroying poison, which meant that he was strong. Even if he was poisoned and not in his best condition, he was still not someone Night Sorrow could fight against. Night Sorrow gave Ice Qilin some life spirit fluid. The Ice Qilin seemed to be fine, but the violent collision with the ice mountain had caused its internal body to be severely shaken. Now its nose was still bleeding. At this time, Ling Ju flew out of the ice mountain. The area was full of poisonous smoke, so he couldn't bring it with him. As for Dark Mountain's corpse, he could only give up on it. Both he and Dark Mountain had come with their real bodies, because they were confident in their own abilities. Flying back to the other side of the profound ice river, Ling Ju killed the demonic beasts attracted by the Ice Qilin's roar, and ate some pills to suppress the poison. However, the soul-destroying poison refined by Datura was very strong. Although it couldn't take Ling Ju's life, it still brought him a lot of trouble. It couldn't be solved in a short time. After meditating for a while, Ling Ju realized that he couldn't do it. If this continued, it would be difficult to solve it. Moreover, this wasn't a safe area. After thinking for a while, he flew forward. Night Sorrow controlled the Dragon Cauldron and flew far behind. He wanted to see what Ling Ju was going to do. After flying for a while, Ling Ju took out some spirit stones and started to set up a formation. Illusion formation. Night Sorrow knew that it was an illusion formation. The scenery changed, and he couldn't see what was inside the formation. However, Night Sorrow felt Ling Ju's aura in the formation. Night Sorrow felt that Ling Ju was quite smart to set up a formation to heal himself. However, after a while, Night Sorrow frowned. He realized that Ling Ju's aura had disappeared. Spatial treasure. Could Ling Ju have entered a spatial treasure? Night Sorrow had 2 spatial treasures on him. It was normal for others to have one as well. Moreover, Ling Ju's background was also high. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow felt that there was another possibility. It was a teleportation formation. Ling Ju had set up a teleportation formation. Then he went back to solve the problem like he did when he sent the resources. Lingju was also an array master. If he entered a spatial treasure, there was no need for him to set up a formation. If he stayed in the spatial treasure to expel the poison, it would be hard for others to find him. Night Sorrow felt that there was a high possibility that it was a teleportation formation. He decided to take a gamble. If Lingju was still there, then he would continue to think of a way to escape. If Lingju was still there, then sorry, but he would destroy his teleportation formation. After reaching the illusion formation, Night Sorrow started to break the formation. As a heavenly adept array master, Night Sorrow had no problem breaking an illusion formation. When Night Sorrow broke the illusion formation and found a teleportation formation, it was also destroyed. Fortunately, the teleportation crystal was not broken. Lingju was also worried that others would ambush him after breaking the illusion formation, so he had a backup plan. However, Night Sorrow felt that it was enough to destroy the teleportation formation. The journey of 1.5 years would be relatively easier for him to travel the second time. However, the demonic beasts in the Ice Dragon realm were mobile. The situation was constantly changing. It would take Lingju a lot of time to catch up. This was enough for Night Sorrow. After taking Lingju's teleportation crystal and finding a safe place, Night Sorrow rested for 2 days. The main reason was that Ice Qilin needed to recover. Night Sorrow did not want Ice Qilin to travel with injuries. It was inhumane. After resting for 2 days, Night Sorrow continued his journey. However, he was very careful. He was sure that he was not the only one with a map. There were many others. Perhaps because of the advantage in the early stage, the people in the world of Samsara were behind him. However, it was hard to say for the situation in the Shimwu Great World and the Black-Yellow Great World. This place was suitable for the Ice Dragon realm. Every step was dangerous and frightening. Night Sorrow had to move forward carefully. During one journey, Datura opened the concentric crystal. Datura was sailing in the big lake of the city in the sky. Night Sorrow also saw the 2 children, Yujun and Qinyan. When the 2 children saw Night Sorrow in the concentric crystal, they greeted him excitedly. "I took them out to play. They miss you and want to see you," Datura said. "My original body's cultivation will come to an end after a while. I will go back then," Night Sorrow said. "Okay. How's it going?" Datura changed the topic. "It's going well. However, I may have offended someone again," Night Sorrow said with a smile. Now he did not want to offend anyone. It was others who were thinking about him. He could not do anything about it. "Who did you offend?" Datura did not care who Night Sorrow offended as long as he was fine at that time. Judging from his clothes, he seems to be from the Celestial sect. Some people call him Young Master. "He calls himself Lingju," Night Sorrow said. "His surname is Ling. That means he is from the Celestial sect. The Celestial sect is a little troublesome. However, it doesn't matter. They can't show off in the eastern region of the world of Samsara. However, you have to be careful. The people of the Celestial sect rely on their deep background. Therefore, they are more arrogant. If you offend them, they will definitely plot against you," Datura said. "Plot against me? Then he has to run away slowly first," Night Sorrow said with a smile. He was quite happy to have destroyed Lingju's transmission formation. Chapter 1236. He wants to run away. "What's going on? It seems that you've taken advantage of him again?" Datura asked with great interest. Night Sorrow smiled and told her about the conflict between him and Lingju with Wushan, as well as the process of destroying Lingju's transmission formation. "That's a ruthless move. It will take him a long time to return to his original position. He can't threaten you at all," Datura said. She admired Night Sorrow's calculation and ability. It was rare to be able to create such a situation in front of 2 opponents who were much stronger than him. "They wanted to catch me. I had no choice. They were unlucky," Night Sorrow said. "Don't worry about the things at home. Everything is fine," Datura said. Then Night Sorrow told his son and daughter that he would definitely be back for their birthday. Datura was lost in thought. She felt that Night Sorrow was different from other cultivators. Other king-level cultivators had children, but they also asked servants to look after them. They rarely took care of their children themselves. It was impossible for them to delay their cultivation because of their children. But it was different for Night Sorrow. She could feel the tenderness in Night Sorrow's eyes and the concern in Night Sorrow's heart. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow decided that his original body would leave Samsara Palace first and return to the city in the sky to accompany his family. It was the same for him to cultivate with the pagoda of time and space in the city in the sky. After making the decision, Night Sorrow told Datura to take the children to the transmission formation and wait for him. "What are you doing?" Datura looked at Night Sorrow with some surprise. "I'm going back," Night Sorrow said. "Don't worry. You're leaving Samsara Palace. You still have to go there, right? Wait a little longer. Yujun Qingyan, your father has something to do. I'll come back to accompany you when he's not busy. Auntie will accompany you fishing." Datura patiently coaxed the two children. Original. Yujun and Qingyan nodded obediently. "Father, when you come back, you must bring me a big sword." Yi Yujun looked at the concentric crystal and said, "All right. Once I'm here, Qingyan, prepare whatever you want." Night Sorrow said to Yi Qingyan, "I don't need anything. Mother said that father's safety is more important than anything else." Yi Qingyan looked at the crystal and said. Night Sorrow nodded. This was his son and daughter, and this was the reason for him to fight. After breaking the concentric crystal, Night Sorrow rested for a moment before his mood stabilized. Ice Qilin hurried along the mysterious ice river while Night Sorrow took out a jar of wine to drink. In the blink of an eye, 2 months had passed. Night Sorrow had also gone a long way in. At this time, an angry roar came from the entrance of the Ice Dragon realm. It was Ling Ju. After returning to the celestial sect, he used a spiritual treasure of heaven and earth to resolve the problem of the soul-destroying poison, before returning to the Ice Dragon realm. When he arrived at the transportation formation he had set up, he was immediately enraged. The transportation crystal on the formation was dark, which meant that the connecting formation had been destroyed and could no longer be used. After roaring twice, Ling Ju calmed down. He knew that the one who destroyed the transportation formation was none other than Night Sorrow, who had run away. He knew that Night Sorrow hadn't run far at all. Instead, he had been watching him. After he left using the transportation formation, Night Sorrow came out and destroyed it. Ling Ju was very angry. He had walked for more than a year between the two transportation formations. Now he could only walk again. Night Sorrow, I Ling Ju will kill you. Ling Ju's eyes were filled with killing intent. He had suffered a great loss this time. Not only had one of his guards been killed, but he had also used an extremely precious life recovery pill to deal with the soul-destroying poison. As the name implied, as long as one didn't die at the time, the life recovery pill could solve the problem. There weren't many of such pills in the celestial sect. He could use it because he was the young sect master. Night Sorrow's speed was very fast, but the environment was getting worse and worse, because he was getting closer and closer to the center of the Ice Dragon world. Although the profound ice river didn't freeze, the water temperature was terrifyingly low. If a hard rock fell into the water, it would instantly freeze and crack. Night Sorrow knew that the situation was still normal. The coldest place in the Ice Dragon world was the Ice Dragon Abyss. It was said that even the air could freeze, and that was also the core of the Ice Dragon world. The Ice Dragon's ancestral land was not far from the Ice Dragon Abyss. Humans and beasts below the 7th step could not survive there, so only the tyrannical Ice Dragon could survive. The Ice Qilin was very strong. This kind of environment had almost no effect on it. Its speed was still extremely fast, because it was a beast with an innate talent of the ice attribute. 2 years passed as they advanced. Looking at the map, Night Sorrow discovered that they were not far from the central area. If they advanced for a while longer, the Ice Qilin would be put away. In the center, the Ice Qilin was no longer an assistant, but a disaster. The Ice Dragon was very sensitive to the Dark Ice Qilin. In the past, the Dark Ice Qilin was very strong. They once fought with the Ice Dragon for the center. They lost and were expelled, but the rivalry was deep in their bones. 2 years had passed, and Night Sorrow's cultivation was the same as his realm. Now Night Sorrow's genuine chi cultivation had reached the peak of the 3-star king. Night Sorrow's original body went back to the city in the sky once to accompany his child, parents, and wife. After a while, he left the Time Pagoda and returned to the Samsara Palace. This time, Night Sorrow asked the Samsara Palace's device spirit, which was the origin of the world of Samsara, to combine the wills of nothingness, time, and space. He had already learned the basics of the three wills, so he could comprehend them together. The Samsara Palace's device spirit agreed, but to comprehend the three wills, it would cost 3 times the time. In other words, Night Sorrow had 130 years in his Samsara token. If he comprehended the three wills together, he could only cultivate for 40 years. Night Sorrow agreed. Time was the most precious thing. If he could improve quickly, he would have to bear with it even if it cost him a lot. Besides, he still had merits in the Qing Emperor's palace to exchange for time. In addition, Night Sorrow told his wife that if the child wanted to see him, they could go to the Heaven Sealing Palace. He had a doppelganger there too. Datura also said that Night Sorrow's original body should not move around. If he was not in the safest 9 regions world, then he should cultivate in the Samsara Palace. It was dangerous to move around. The temptation of the artifact of heavenly axiom was too great. Even the Sky Master had the possibility of making a move. No one could stop this temptation. Night Sorrow continued his journey after settling the matters of his original body and his family. As for the matters of the Qing Emperor's dynasty, Night Sorrow was more assured. Before he left, he had reported to the military that Nu Lin would be in charge of the army during his absence. The sealing formation and sealing formation that he had been keeping were also given to Nu Lin. The 9 Heavens army would operate as usual. During the journey, Night Sorrow had nothing to do. He just deduced the formation. The formation was broad and profound. He had a lot of formation diagrams, which were enough for him to study. When Night Sorrow continued his journey in the Ice Dragon realm, the Qing Emperor's dynasty and the Blackfiend Valley had a conflict. It was because the spy sent by Liang was caught again by Sandalwood. The Blackfiend Valley continued to target the 9-story tower, which made Sandalwood angry. Chapter 1237. The end result of Sandalwood Fire was that she went to Blackfiend Valley alone with a blade to start a massacre. Sandalwood became famous 5 million years ago. His combat power was close to that of a titan. After 5 million years, his cultivation level and realm did not improve, but his combat power had improved significantly. The sovereigns could only be killed. First edition. Li Tianba was furious that his forces and cities were attacked by Sandalwood. He reprimanded his son and started to deal with the matter. There were 2 titans in the Blackfiend Valley, but so what? Sandalwood used to be the commander of an army. He had his own strategies. He would not give Li Tianba and Li Tianhu a chance to attack him. He would end every battle quickly and retreat immediately. This strategy caused the Li family in the Blackfiend Valley to suffer heavy losses. Li Tianba and Li Tianhu took action, but they could not find Sandalwood. After killing him once, Sandalwood disappeared and continued to kill. Only Li Tianba and Li Tianhu could stop Sandalwood, but they could not find Sandalwood, who was killing people everywhere. They could not control the situation. The 2 brothers discussed and decided to ask for peace with the Qing Emperor's dynasty. They had no choice because there was no one like Sandalwood in the Blackfiend Valley, who could defeat the king and the sovereigns. If they sent people to the Qing Emperor's dynasty to cause trouble, they would be killed. Li Tianba and Li Tianhu could not do anything. Once a titan took action, they would fight to the death. Currently, the Blackfiend Valley and the Qing Emperor's dynasty had not reached such a level. Li Tianba's messenger met the Qing Emperor and admitted that it was the people of the Blackfiend Valley who did not understand the situation and would not do it again. He even asked the Qing Emperor's dynasty to forgive him. Go back and tell Li Tianba. If he offends the Qing Emperor's dynasty again, the result will not be what it is today. It is not something that can be solved by asking for peace. No one has a good temper. The Qing Emperor said to Li Tianba's messenger. Thereafter, the Azure Supreme Dharch crushed Sandalwood's soul crystal. The matter was more or less settled. The Azure Supreme Dharch was also worried that Sandalwood would accidentally fall into the hands of Li Tianba and Li Tianhu. Now that Sandalwood was about to get married, nothing could go wrong. Although Sandalwood still wanted to kill him, He knew that the Qing emperor must have his reasons for asking him to go back. This matter made Li Tianba and Li Tianhu angry, but it did not affect Li Ying's status in the Blackfean Valley. But Li's dynasty. Li Tianhu's right, of course. Li Tianhu's determination to become stronger. This was a good thing. He could not just because he failed. Li Tianhu's. Since his younger brother said so, Li Tianba did not say anything. He did not want to punish his son. Akatsuki was depressed recently. He had a team of Sky Heart Prefecture soldiers that entered the Ice Dragon realm, but they had suffered heavy losses. Only half of them were still advancing. Akatsuki was depressed about the heavy losses. Another thing was that the Sky Heart army outside the Sky Tiger Pass had fought the Nine Heaven army a few times. They were always at a disadvantage. The Nine Heaven army was strong. Although the Sky Heart Prefecture soldiers were strong, they did not have enough teamwork. Therefore, they were always at a disadvantage. The Nine Heaven army did not fight with the Sky Heart army. They would leave after winning and go to another battlefield. This made the Red Emperor's dynasty very passive. Chiwa was the same. He was also troubled by the Green Qilin and Green Phoenix armies. Chidu, you are dead. Others will have to bear the consequences of your failure. Chiwa was a little depressed after sending people to investigate the movements of the Green Qilin and Green Phoenix armies. The current passive situation was the result of Chidu's failure. The Red Emperor's dynasty was no match for the Qing Emperor's dynasty. Chiwa also felt that he was being looked down upon. He had challenged Knight Sorrow to a battle, but Knight Sorrow did not reply. He did not know that Knight Sorrow was not in the Qing Emperor's dynasty. He thought that Knight Sorrow ignored him because of Knight Sorrow. This was very unbearable for him, who had always been arrogant. Pick yourself up from where you fell. Everyone knew this. Chiwa had been famous in the Red Emperor's dynasty for many years. He was also a famous commander of an army. However, he had lost too badly this time. The young masters and highnesses of the various kingdoms and sects sounded young, but that was not the case. They were called that because their fathers were the leaders of the forces. Some of the young masters and highnesses had cultivated to the monarch realm. They had lived for a very long time. Their power and influence were very strong. Chiwa Liang and the others were all like this. Therefore, losing to a young man like Knight Sorrow was a great humiliation to them. If they could not resolve it, it would become a knot in their hearts. Knight Sorrow was in the Ice Dragon realm. Even if he was not, Chiwa would not have an advantage in such a battle. A one-on-one battle was not suitable because Knight Sorrow had only cultivated for a little more than 100 years. He had cultivated for countless years. An army battle? Chiwa's power was not at the same level as Knight Sorrow's. Sandalwood, who had rushed back from the Blackfean Valley, was in high spirits. He was still the invincible Sandalwood of the past. He alone could make the Blackfean Valley helpless. When Sandalwood returned to the 9 Grand Floors, he was talking to Summer City and E when he learned about the battle between Chiwa and Knight Sorrow. He just smiled disdainfully. Junior brother can crush him in an army battle. If we were to compete in individual battle, junior brother can crush him in 1/10 of his cultivation time. I don't know what's the point of this battle. Maybe he was suppressed by junior brother and lost his reputation, so he was a little unwilling. However, the truth is the truth. He can't deny it. It is also the evaluation of the world, E said. E had lived in the 9 Grand Floors for a while. Although she had never met Knight Sorrow, she had heard some things about Knight Sorrow from others. Therefore, even if they had never met, she admired Knight Sorrow very much. They are noobs. Junior brother is an elite. There is no comparison. Junior brother just needs time to grow, Sandalwood said. He was different from before. In the past, he would explode at the slightest provocation. Now he was much calmer. Your Highness and His Highness Knight Sorrow are both elites. His Majesty is the most cautious when it comes to accepting disciples. Whether it is character or talent, they are all considered. He is not like the others who grab any broken shoes and socks in their hands, Summer City said. Haha. In Uncle Xiao's eyes, junior brother and I are just a little better than broken shoes and socks. Sandalwood laughed. His Highness is calm and his words are sharp. Summer City said helplessly. He truly felt the change in Sandalwood. He did not lose his courage, but his mentality was more stable. Uncle Xia, back then, Master had taught me many things, but I really couldn't learn them. After I got to know my junior brother, I saw the tenacity in him and how much he cherished. I care about everything that's happening today. Life is just survival. Sandalwood's words were filled with emotions. That is true. His Highness Knight Sorrow has a deep understanding of life. He is also very good at it. He cherishes everything around him, and is willing to sacrifice everything for the people around him. Summer City nodded. 9th update. Chapter 1238. However, this is all thanks to Xian Daozi. His divination skills are very useful. He was able to bring His Highness Knight Sorrow to Summer City of the Qing Emperor's dynasty. Junior brother's appearance is a blessing to me and to the Qing Emperor's dynasty. From a neutral point of view, junior brother's development will be smooth no matter where he goes. Even if there are some obstacles, they won't be able to stop him from moving forward. He has the ability and charisma to do so, Sandalwood said as she took the tea from E. Junior brother has the body of merit, which explains everything. There are countless people in the Great Thousand World, but it is very difficult for a body of merit to appear. If he was lacking, he wouldn't have been able to reach this level, E said. At this moment, Knight Sorrow was riding the ice Qilin forward. In order to speed up and avoid danger, Knight Sorrow let the ice Qilin fly over the wide ice river. The extremely cold water surged and the energy covered the ice Qilin, so the possibility of being discovered was much lower. Only the ice Qilin could do this. Cultivators couldn't. Flying above the extremely cold ice river would greatly affect one's body. Without using energy to protect one's body, one would be frozen. Using energy to protect one's body would consume a lot of energy, and one wouldn't be able to fly for long. Flying at high altitudes would also lose the protection of the ice river's energy. While Yi Futian's original body cultivated his realm and strength, Knight Sorrow's clone deduced the formation. Knight Sorrow wasn't worried about his hometown and everything around him. The 9 regions world's gateway strictly prohibited people with higher cultivation than him from entering without his permission. He wasn't worried about anything in the Qing Emperor's dynasty. Without him, the Qing Emperor's dynasty was still doing well. He wasn't some savior. Without him, everything in the world would still be running smoothly. At this moment, some of the weaker teams had already retreated. Because of the rampant demonic beasts, if they insisted on going forward, they would die. Strong teams would also suffer heavy losses as they ventured deeper into the forest. Bai Yun's team was an example. If they encountered a ferocious demonic beast, they would have to pay an unbearable price. Some people carried spatial treasures, but in fact, controlling spatial treasures to fly while concealing one's body required a large amount of soul power. It was also very slow. Let alone 30 years, even 100 years might not be enough to reach the central region of the Frost Dragon world. Inside the Dragon Cauldron, Knight Sorrow, who had gained some experience in the deduction of array formations, took out the materials and tried to refine an array disk. The method to refine an array disk was recorded in the notes on array formations that the Qing Emperor had imparted to him. The disk array was actually a miniature version of the array. It was the condensation of the array into the disk array. Knight Sorrow tried to refine an illusion array. When there was an opponent, the illusion array disk would be activated, and he would have the opportunity to escape. Spatial brass was needed to refine the array disk. In other words, there had to be enough space to hold enough spirit stones to condense the array disk. Spatial brass was a rare material. It was used by Knight Sorrow when he received orders to refine items. The first time he tried to refine it, he failed. Because of a miscalculation, the space in the disk array could not hold enough Saint Spirit stones, causing the array to not be able to completely merge into the disk array. The failure cost him some materials, but Knight Sorrow had accumulated some experience and continued to refine it. On the third try, a small illusion array disk was completed. It was the 1000 development illusion array. Knight Sorrow tried to activate it. He felt that the effect was not bad. It was a basic king's array disk. It could affect a basic king. Of course, it was not realistic to trap him. After all, It was only a basic array disk and did not contain many Saint Spirit stones. Night Sorrow then refined a teleportation array disk. It was a teleportation array that could be activated in an instant. Of course, it was not suitable for simple ones, such as long-distance teleportation, because the principles behind high-level teleportation arrays were more complicated. Night Sorrow had the ice Qilin stop by the riverbank. He took out a normal teleportation stone and set up a teleportation array. After traveling for a while, Night Sorrow activated the teleportation array disk. As the space shook, Night Sorrow returned to the place where he had set up the teleportation array. However, the array disk in his hand had shattered. It was a one-time use array disk. It was not that the teleportation array disk could only be used once. It was just that the one that Night Sorrow had refined was not high enough. After the teleportation array was activated, the energy had destroyed the structure of the array. Currently, Night Sorrow did not lack resources. He had the ice Qilin continue to move forward while he continued to refine and study the array disk. Night Sorrow's doppelganger in the sky-ceiling Great Hall also followed along and studied. Half a month later, Night Sorrow had refined an illusion array disk. It was at the mid-tier standard. In other words, it could affect mid-tier and high-level king. Night Sorrow was extremely satisfied with this result. The mid-tier array disk could already affect high-level king. In addition, Night Sorrow had a teleportation array disk. He had more ways to save his life. However, he had to first set up a teleportation array that corresponded to the array disk. Of course, the teleportation array disk could not be connected to the teleportation array that Night Sorrow had used to enter the Ice Dragon realm. The main reason was that the distance was too far. Night Sorrow had embedded the realm teleportation crystal that Datura had given him. As long as he was in the Ice Dragon realm, there would be no problems with teleportation. A low-tier teleportation crystal could teleport a distance of 1,000,000 miles. Its value was already very low. It could only be used in low-tier worlds. Night Sorrow was now using it to set up a life-saving teleportation array. When the distance was not enough, the teleportation crystal on the teleportation array disk would dim. Night Sorrow would then set up another one. As he advanced, Night Sorrow's strength was constantly increasing. His original body was currently not in the stage of enlightenment. In other words, as long as he had some enlightenment, his doppelganger's strength would immediately manifest. After advancing for 3 months, Night Sorrow had developed a mid-tier teleportation array disk. This meant that the teleportation array disk would not shatter after teleportation. It was just that it could not be embedded with a realm teleportation crystal. After all, that was a high-level teleportation array. If it could be embedded with a realm teleportation crystal, then it would be a high-level teleportation array disk. If it could not shatter after teleportation, then it would be a top-tier teleportation array disk. Night Sorrow could not do anything about this. His cultivation was too low and his soul power was not enough. He could not refine it at the moment. Night Sorrow was still researching the array disks used in battle. His request was very simple. He did not want to kill the enemy. If he encountered a tyrannical opponent, it would be fine as long as he had enough time to retreat. Night Sorrow devoted himself to studying the illusionary killing array. He wanted to increase the power of the array disk. As long as he could trap the opponent for a few breaths of time, he could use the teleportation array disk to retreat easily. In the Ice Dragon realm, it was unrealistic to rely on battle power to achieve anything. It should be known that the central region of the Ice Dragon realm was the territory of the Ice Dragons. The Ice Dragons were a race. Although most of the time, they lived alone or in pairs in a territory, if they encountered danger, they would ask for help. It would be difficult to survive being surrounded by the Ice Dragons. It should be known that many of the Ice Dragons were high-level king tier. Their battle power was extremely strong. It could even be said that they could fight above their level. The Ice Dragons were on the side of the Ice Dragons. As his research on the array disk deepened, Night Sorrow felt that his survival ability had increased again. Chapter 1239. Night Sorrow was very happy. His array Dao cultivation had improved at a crucial time, and it had helped him a lot. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Right now, Night Sorrow didn't care about searching for resources. because traveling was the most important thing. If he could get an ice dragon's skeleton, it would be a real gain. Even if it wasn't an ice dragon skeleton, it could still be used as the core of a formation. Although the power would be a bit weaker, it would still be enough to protect a small city. For example, using an intermediate king's ice dragon skeleton as the core to set up a formation to protect a mansion would also be very domineering. The ice dragon skeleton that Knight Sorrow had started collecting couldn't be used because its body was damaged. It could only be used as a material. Feeling that he could prepare more formation plates, Knight Sorrow continued to refine them. If he couldn't control an opponent, he would use two. He still had a lot of spatial brass in his storage ring. He had refined a few of each type of array disc, and he had also used up most of the spatial brass. There was still a little left, but Yishan didn't dare to use it. Who knew what would happen, so it wasn't wrong to reserve some for emergencies. When Datura went to find Knight Sorrow happened to have a stack of formation plates next to him. "You're the one who refined it. You're good at everything now," Mandela said after seeing the disc array. "Because I didn't have enough time and didn't pay attention to the materials, I refined these," Knight Sorrow said as he put away the formation plates. "The materials aren't difficult. I'll go back and study them for you. However, if you have formation plates, others might have them too. It's better to be careful," Datura reminded Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow nodded. There were some things that he had considered in his heart and was prepared for. The ice Qilin flew very quickly on the ice river. Knight Sorrow felt that at this rate, they would reach the central area in half a year. That would be the time for him to start his own adventure. Others might be worried about the dangers of exploring, but Knight Sorrow wasn't. He was excited. Opportunities were reserved for those who were prepared. He was mentally prepared to face everything. Of course, whether he could gain anything was another topic. Along the way, Knight Sorrow could feel his strength increasing. The most obvious change was his comprehension of the wills of space and nihility. The space attribute was Knight Sorrow's talent ability, so the compatibility was not low. The other was the will of nothingness. The will of nothingness was the attribute of Knight Sorrow's genuine chi and soul, so it was not difficult to comprehend it. The main point was that the will of heaven and earth in the Samsara Palace was strong and obvious, which could not be compared with some special places where the will of heaven and earth was displayed. According to this progress, Knight Sorrow felt that he would not be able to enter the intermediate king for too long. Many times, when comprehending the will of nothingness, he was afraid that he would not be able to feel it. He was afraid that he would not be able to enter the state, and then he would not gain anything. Knight Sorrow was in the state now, so he gained a lot from comprehending the will of nothingness. Knight Sorrow felt that if the will of nothingness could enter the 4-star king, his battle power would increase a lot. After all, there was a big difference between a 4-star king and a 3-star king. That was the boundary between the beginner king and the intermediate king. While Knight Sorrow was hurrying, some teams with maps were also moving towards the central area. Lingju was one of them. However, he had brought a team with him this time because he was still weak by himself. Some strong teams were also moving towards the central area. Those who retreated and left were of average strength. There were still some who were strong enough to fight against monarchs in the Star King. These people could naturally move forward in a straight line. They would only be in danger when they reached the central area. Knight Sorrow was also moving forward at full speed because he had made all the necessary preparations. Every time he moved forward, he would set up a low-level teleportation formation. The cost was not high and he could protect himself. If he really needed to use it, it would be equivalent to using a low-level teleportation formation to save a doppelganger. Along the way, Knight Sorrow was also cultivating in the Dragon Cauldron. He continued to strengthen the Great Emperor Samsara Slash, because the increase in cultivation and will of nothingness would affect his battle power and the power of his absolute art. When Knight Sorrow's soul power detected the continuous turns in the Mystic Ice River, he knew that he could not rely on the Ice Qilin to move forward. After the 9 Bends and 3 Coves region, it would be the central area of the Ice Dragon realm, the habitat of the Ice Dragon. If he brought the Ice Qilin in, Knight Sorrow would not be looking for the Ice Dragon's skeleton, but looking for trouble. After passing the 9 Bends and 3 Coves, Night Sorrow rode the ice Qilin to the shore of the mystic ice river. He then kept the ice Qilin in the dragon cauldron, and began to move forward. Now Night Sorrow had his own matters to attend to. The weather was extremely cold, and Night Sorrow's vision was filled with white. Occasionally, there would be extreme cold currents. In the ice dragon realm, other than the threat of demon beast attacks, there was also the danger of the extreme cold currents. The extreme cold currents were produced in the ice dragon abyss and could freeze some creatures. If a cultivator was caught in it, it would be very difficult to resist and would end up being frozen. The ice dragon abyss was a strange and dangerous place produced by the heavenly Tao. The extreme cold currents were a natural phenomenon produced by the ice dragon abyss. It represented the will of the heavenly Tao, and was not something humans could resist. Even the ice dragon would avoid this extreme cold current. Night Sorrow began to fly, but he still followed the curve of the mystic ice river. The mystic ice river crossed the ice dragon realm, and was the best map coordinate. However, at the same time, there was danger because some demon beasts lived near the mystic ice river. The sky was filled with snow, and a white figure shuttled back and forth in the wind and snow. This figure was Night Sorrow. At this moment, he was wearing the white battle robe that he was most used to, with the sky splitter behind his back. Night Sorrow's body was also rippling with a halo. That was the dragon cauldron's protection. Under the situation where he could not consume his own energy, the dragon cauldron was the most suitable for protection. The activation of the dragon cauldron required the energy of spirit stones, and the thing that Night Sorrow did not lack the least was holy spirit stones. Under the situation where the dragon cauldron was only protecting Night Sorrow's body, it would only consume 2 or 3 holy spirit stones in a day. For Night Sorrow, it was just a drop in the ocean. After advancing for a few days, Night Sorrow would enter the dragon cauldron to rest once. At this time, he had already been in the ice dragon realm for 3 years. In these 3 years, the first 2 years were rich in resources, and the 3rd year was a great improvement in his strength. While advancing, Night Sorrow would burst forth with his soul power to explore and avoid danger. In the central region of the ice dragon realm, there were no ordinary demon beasts. Once a demon beast appeared, it would be the powerful ice dragon. Half a month later, Night Sorrow encountered an ice dragon. It was a living ice dragon. Night Sorrow detected it from afar. It was an ice dragon that was circling around an ice pillar. Its body was slightly larger than the skeleton that Night Sorrow had collected. Its aura and pressure were very strong. Night Sorrow knew that he was not its opponent. After carefully looking at the sleeping ice dragon, Night Sorrow felt that he had no chance of killing it. The difference in strength was too great. When the difference in strength was to the extent of crushing, the effectiveness of some schemes and strategies would be reduced. Night Sorrow observed from afar, and thought about what he should do. At this moment, every choice he made would mean a great gain or a great loss. The 11th update had arrived. Update complete. Thank you, Great Demon King. Thank you. Thank you, 2 brothers, for the strength pills. Thank you, sisters, for the rewards, support, and unsealing. Yesterday, I added 5 more chapters. Today, I added 6 more chapters. 2 strength pills and scattered chapters have been updated. Without debt, Shizi had fulfilled his promise. Once again, thank you, brothers and sisters, for your support. Chapter 1240. Genius 1 second. Remember Love Go/Little? I'll bring you an exciting novel to read. Read the full article. Night Sorrow took another look at the oars below the icicles, and decided to leave. It was not worth it to mess up his plan just for some oars. After going around, Night Sorrow continued to move forward. His final goal was the ice dragon abyss. The other ice dragons blocking his way would just move aside. Kill? He could not kill them with his strength. Night Sorrow continued to move forward in the flying snow at an extremely fast speed. The will of space could also suppress the energy waves brought about by his body. After Night Sorrow entered the center of the ice dragon realm, Datura also reduced the number of times she used the concentric crystal, because she knew that Night Sorrow could not afford to be distracted now. The center of the ice dragon realm was really too dangerous. Ice dragons were top-notch beasts with extraordinary talents. As long as they had enough time, their cultivation and battle strength were very strong. It would not be difficult for them to reach the level of a high-level king. Therefore, everyone's goal in entering the ice dragon realm this time was to find the bones of dead ice dragons. No one had any thoughts of killing ice dragons. Although there might be some 8-star king with the strength of a monarch, the ice dragon realm was the home of ice dragons. The extreme cold climate was a great help to their battle strength. In addition, ice dragons were very fast. If they retreated, it would be very difficult to chase after them. No one dared to chase after ice dragons in the ice dragon realm. Ice dragons had the strength to fight beyond their ranks. A high-level monarch rank ice dragon was not something these high-level monarchs could deal with. If a monarch rank ice dragon appeared, it could instantly kill this group of explorers. When he was tired from flying, Knight Sorrow would return to the 8-dragon cauldron to brew a pot of hot tea to ease the tense atmosphere. At the core of the ice dragon realm, there was an ancient palace carved out of ice. The palace was thousands of feet tall, and took up an area of hundreds of miles. It was majestic and simple. It had an oppressive aura. At the head of the palace was an ice dragon that was bigger than a normal mountain. This ice dragon was different from the ones that had been scouted, because this ice dragon's white body had traces of golden light. At this moment, this ice dragon's body was slowly wriggling. Then the huge dragon raised its head. As it opened and closed its mouth, some light waves rippled in all directions. %ZS At this moment, all the ice dragon race had sensed that there were intruders. Because the ice dragon race had sensed that some of their clansmen had fallen, they had informed all the ice dragon race to be careful. After informing his clansmen, the ice dragon wriggled and went back to sleep. Knight Sorrow did not know. He was still moving forward, but many teams had been attacked. The ice dragons had started a large-scale patrol. The sleeping ice dragons had woken up to patrol their territory. The ice dragon's movements had hindered the movements of many teams. The sleeping ice dragon was relatively less dangerous, but the awakened ice dragon was terrifying. It was extremely aggressive and had high combat strength. If it was alone, it would be fine, but if it was a pair of ice dragons, it would be even more terrifying. At this moment, at the foot of an ice mountain, a young man wearing a snow-white fur coat was watching a group of people collect materials. After 2 hours of hard work, he had led his team to kill an ice dragon. This ice dragon had the cultivation of a 7-star king. As long as he could hold it off, the others would be able to kill it. My lord, the collection of the ice dragon has been dealt with. Please go and collect the materials. A man came over to collect the materials. The man nodded. He was Tangbo, a disciple of the Black-Yellow Great World's Black-Yellow City. The Black-Yellow Great World had once obtained the skeleton of an ice dragon in the ice dragon realm. Naturally, they had the most detailed map. They were going in a straight line, the most direct and least dangerous route. My ancestor had once obtained the skeleton of an ice dragon. Therefore, there is an ice dragon formation in the Black-Yellow City. If we have the chance this time and can obtain the skeleton of an ice dragon, the great defensive formation of the Black-Yellow City will become the infinite double dragon formation. Tangbo's eyes looked toward the depths of the ice dragon realm. My lord, you can do it. The guard said. It won't be that easy. The ancestral land of the ice dragons is surrounded by high-level ice dragons. There are many monarch rank ice dragons. We can't defeat them, so we can only move forward while avoiding them. However, since we are here, we must work hard. When we go back, we will go to the profound ice river. That is the habitat of the profound ice unicorn tiger. Tangbo walked to the materials and collected them along with the corpse of the ice dragon. Profound ice river. My lord, are you planning to hunt down the profound ice unicorn tiger? Tangbo's subordinates asked one after another. The profound ice unicorn tiger and the ice dragon are the two overlords of the ice dragon realm. The profound ice unicorn tiger skeleton is also very useful. If we can obtain the ice dragon king's skeleton, we can arrange the everlasting dual dragon array in the profound yellow city. If we can obtain the profound ice unicorn tiger king's skeleton, we can arrange the profound yellow dragon tiger array. Let's not talk about it anymore, let's go. Tangbo waved his hand and continued to move forward. Knight Sorrow walked in the wind and snow every day. Although the profound ice river was extremely cold, the feeling of rushing and whistling was very strong. It made one's state of mind unconsciously open up. Night Sorrow's speed was very fast. After all, he had 3 attributes that could increase his speed. Along the way, Night Sorrow used the 9 regions origin to support his soul power to explore. This way he could explore a larger area. Along the way, Night Sorrow dodged the ice dragons twice. He discovered them in advance and hid in the 8-dragon cauldron. On this day, when Night Sorrow was making tea and resting, his body shook. His aura also changed a little. Standing up, Night Sorrow waved his arm. With a breakthrough in his cultivation, the original 30% limit of the Will of Nothingness had broken through the barrier of the peak 30% and entered the 40% stage, which meant that he had entered the 4-star Sovereign King realm. This came at the right time. Strength was very important in entering the central region of the Ice Dragon realm. The more strength one had, the more ability one had. After drinking the soul-nourishing tea, Night Sorrow's original body continued to cultivate and comprehend the will. In the past few years, when Night Sorrow's original body cultivated his true chi, he had been drinking the soul-nourishing tea. While nourishing his soul, it also increased his soul power. This was also why Night Sorrow's soul power could detect the ice dragons, but the ice dragons couldn't detect him. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow returned to the 8-dragon cauldron and familiarized himself with his cultivation after advancing. He wanted to turn the cultivation and realm brought by the advancement into his fighting strength. While Night Sorrow was cultivating, some powerful people also entered the central region. Lingju led his people and flew along the profound ice river. His heart was filled with anger. If Night Sorrow hadn't destroyed his teleportation array and tricked him, he would have reached the central region of the Ice Dragon realm. But now? It would take a long time. Besides, Wu Shan was his most loyal subordinate. In the end, he was also killed by Night Sorrow. Chapter 1241. Genius remembers love in 1 second go/small? Say network, for you to read the wonderful novel. It's available everywhere. It's much more stable than ordinary websites and updates faster. It's all text and has no advertisements. Night Sorrow also remembered the name Lingju. If someone wanted to kill him, he would definitely react. Although he couldn't fight back now, he would remember anyone who wanted to harm him. After cultivating in the 8-dragon cauldron for 7 days, Night Sorrow came out and continued to move forward. Compared to 7 days ago, his strength was on a completely different level. If he was at his current strength, it would have been easier to kill Wu Shan. On the bank of the mysterious ice river, Night Sorrow continued to fly. His body was surrounded by the halo emitted by the 8-dragon cauldron. This was the power of a protective magic treasure with a device spirit. It could be activated by itself without the help of its owner. What it burned was its energy. In terms of speed, Night Sorrow had also improved because his cultivation foundation had deepened. After traveling for half a month, Night Sorrow found a battle, but he avoided it from a distance. It was 2 ice dragons attacking a team. The 10-member team was very strong, but the 2 ice dragons were even more ferocious. The battle was very fierce. The 10-member team had no chance of killing the 2 ice dragons. At most, they could protect themselves. It was hard to say whether they would be injured or not. Night Sorrow had never seen this group of people before. The team he had never seen might be from the Black-Yellow Great World and the Shimwu Great World. After avoiding this group of people, Night Sorrow continued to fly. In the battle, Tangbo glanced in the direction where Night Sorrow had left. He also found Night Sorrow. He was at the peak of the 8-star King realm, and his soul power was also very strong. Therefore, when Night Sorrow found them, he also found Night Sorrow. However, before he could find anything, Night Sorrow disappeared from his detection range. Read the whole article. Let's retreat. Unable to kill the 2 ice dragons, Tangbo gave the order. The 2 ice dragons represented resources, very rare resources. However, if the stalemate continued, not only would they not be able to kill them, they would also be easily injured. As such, Tangbo did not plan to continue fighting. This battle was not his intention. You've reached the ice dragon's territory and you still want to leave? All of you will die here. An ice dragon let out a buzzing sound that shook the ice mountain, and its attacks became even more violent. At this moment, Tangbo waved his hand and a formation plate flew out. It was a trapping formation. Then he led his men and quickly retreated. Night Sorrow could only refine formation plates, but some of the members of large forces could buy formation plates with abundant resources. Tangbo led his men out of the Ice Dragon's territory. After arriving at a relatively safe place, he let everyone rest. Everyone be careful. There are other people in this area, Tangbo said. My lord, are you saying that someone took the same route as us? Asked one after another. It shouldn't be. It might be a coincidence. Our map was drawn by our ancestors after we entered the Ice Dragon realm. It's definitely unique. Others might have maps, but they won't be the same as ours. However, it's not easy to come here. We have to be careful. If we meet other teams, we won't look for trouble or cause trouble, but we're not afraid of trouble either. The others nodded. They knew that this was Tangbo's philosophy. Tangbo also had a good reputation in the mysterious Yellow City. Yishang didn't know if he had been discovered or if he was flying at top speed. He was like a wisp of smoke in the wind and snow, disappearing in an instant. He didn't change his route and just flew along the profound ice river. Although this wasn't the shortest route, it was still a relatively easy route. There was still a lot of time, so Yishang wouldn't take the risk just to save some time. Night Sorrow also knew that he was at the forefront of the team in the world of reincarnation. However, compared to the practitioners in his world, it was hard to say. Everyone entered through different entrances, and the distance was also different. After advancing for half a month, Night Sorrow found a battle. It was an ice dragon and a black tortoise fighting. Night Sorrow knew that this was a fight for territory. Night Sorrow felt that the black tortoise should be the last to arrive. It did not understand the situation and ran into the ice dragon's territory. However, Night Sorrow felt that the black tortoise was stronger because of its strong defense. However, Night Sorrow still left. In this kind of battle, it was difficult for both sides to suffer. There was a possibility of a fisherman benefiting from the battle. #YongZiu plus free look winky face. Little speak. First of all, the black tortoise's defense was strong. It was difficult for the ice dragon to break through. If the black tortoise won, then the ice dragon was faster, and the black tortoise could not be killed. Without any hesitation, Night Sorrow left. He was worried that the impact of the battle would be great. There would be other monsters coming. What if there was another ice dragon? Whether it was the black tortoise or the ice dragon, they were both huge monsters in front of Night Sorrow. There was no possibility for him to kill them. Night Sorrow knew that the further he went, the more difficult it would be. In fact, at this time, there was no difference between a high-level king and a mid-level king. When encountering a battle, you would have to retreat. The only difference was that the high-level king's ability to survive was stronger. Lingju also entered the central area. He was a little later than Night Sorrow. Even though he was familiar with the way, he did not dare to rush without any scruples. Therefore, it was inevitable that he would be delayed. 3 years. In the blink of an eye, they had been out for 3 years, but they still hadn't reached their destination. This was the longest time Yishang had ever spent exploring. And this was with a map. Without a map, Yishang felt that this trip would take 8 to 10 years. Feeling tired, Night Sorrow entered the 8-dragon cauldron to rest. After drinking a pot of hot tea, Night Sorrow felt much better. Looking at the sleeping Ice Qilin, Night Sorrow shook his head. The Ice Qilin's mind was a little slow. After drinking the tea, Night Sorrow shook the concentric crystal. Datura, who was connected to the concentric crystal, was in the Whitebone Hall. How did you have time to take the initiative to contact me? Datura asked. I thought you were in Sky City, so I asked about the situation. Night Sorrow said with a smile. I came back to take a look. I will go to Sky City later. Everything is fine in Sky City. Don't worry. Be careful. I heard from the spies that Lingju from Sky Peak sect really hates you. He sent people to inquire about your situation, but they were all trash who came to Sky Profound World. I ignored them. As long as they are not monarchs, it is fine for them to enter Sky Profound World. As for causing trouble in Seven Night City, I will kill them one by one. Datura said. He hates me, but I am not done with him. First he wanted to kill me. If he can't, it means that he is not capable enough. Now that he has the intention to kill me, I will not let this matter go. I am not capable now, but once I am, I will not let this matter go. Night Sorrow was still angry. This matter was provoked by Ling Ju first. You still need time now. Don't worry too much. Just kill them in the future. However, it is true that Sky Peak sect is difficult to deal with. No one in the world of reincarnation wants to provoke them. Their inheritance is very scary. Datura reminded Night Sorrow. Aluo, my master, also said the same thing. They don't have a Sky Master. Why are so many people afraid of them? Night Sorrow was puzzled. This meant that he could destroy Ling Ju's teleportation array safely. Night Sorrow was sure that this teleportation array had not been torn down. Ling Ju had already come in twice, otherwise he would have torn it down directly. Night Sorrow did not do anything unnecessary, and did not use any backup plans. He directly set up a spirit explosion array beside the teleportation crystal of the teleportation array, then activated the teleportation array, and teleported back to the core area of the Ice Dragon realm. Original head returning to his own teleportation array, Night Sorrow looked at the gray crystal. Night Sorrow knew that it was done. If Ling Ju wanted to go back, he would have to run back. If he wanted to use the teleportation array to go back, it would be impossible. After rearranging the teleportation array disk, Night Sorrow continued to move forward. He was currently in a rather happy mood, because he had vented his anger. Although he had not solved the root of the problem, he had still tricked Ling Ju. If Ling Ju's reaction was slow, and he did not leave when the time was close, he could only rely on the teleportation array to stay in the Ice Dragon realm for tens of millions of years. He could only leave when the Ice Dragon realm opened again. It was hard to say if he could survive until the next time. Night Sorrow did not dare to delay the time to trick Ling Ju, because no one knew when Ling Ju would leave. He could not delay his exploration of the Ice Dragon realm because of this. In addition, he felt that it was not worth it. It was not worth it to delay his own development for Ling Ju. Night Sorrow continued to fly. As he flew, he used his soul power to investigate the surroundings to the greatest extent. He did not want to accidentally barge into the Ice Dragon's lair. At that time, he would have to run if he was unlucky. Night Sorrow advanced, and so did the others. They were all avoiding risks. Night Sorrow still had some special life-saving methods, but the others might not have them. Disciples from large factions had abundant resources, but their elders did not care about the training between life and death. This was because everyone knew that cultivators who did not experience wind and rain were actually birds that could not fly. They were trash. The Qing Emperor's guards and the blood-robed guards were also advancing. Their strength could be considered valiant. Night Sorrow was still the same. Every time he advanced, he would set up a low-level teleportation array as his retreat point. As they advanced, the situation became worse. Because they were close to the core of the Ice Dragon realm, the climate was also extremely cold. It was not suitable for demon beasts that were not of the ice attribute to survive. The Ice Dragon realm was vast and boundless. It was a high-level world, but it could not stop King from exploring with a map and a goal. It was normal for them to be close to the core area in 3 years. The Ice Dragon Abyss was the core of the Ice Dragon realm. The extreme cold air and extreme cold currents were the products of the Ice Dragon Abyss. Speaking of extreme cold currents, Night Sorrow had encountered them twice, but he had dodged them both times. What made Night Sorrow envious was that there were many top-grade ores in the extreme cold currents. There were extremely rare ones, but he could not obtain them. This made Night Sorrow feel very conflicted. Those were top-grade materials that were shot out from the core of the world, but he could only watch and could not collect them. This made Night Sorrow's heart itch, but he could not do anything about it. Because in the extreme cold currents, even the 8th rank Ice Dragon and Profound Ice Tiger could not withstand them. Looking at the extreme cold currents again, Night Sorrow had an idea. He wanted to know if the 8 Dragon Cauldron could withstand the extreme cold currents. If it could, then there would be a chance. Night Sorrow asked the 8 Dragon Cauldron Spirit. The 8 Dragon Cauldron Spirit told Night Sorrow that as long as there were enough spirit stones to burn, It could stand at the edge of the extreme cold currents and not be swept away. However, it did not have the ability to collect things. After hearing the 8 dragon cauldrons answer, Knight Sorrow thought for a while and entered the 8 dragon cauldron. He planned to refine something. He did not have the ability to use his soul power to collect things inside the 8 dragon cauldron, because his soul power would be frozen by the extreme cold currents and could not be used flexibly. After thinking for a while, Knight Sorrow decided to go all out. He decided to use the damaged ice dragon's skeleton as a refining tool. Knight Sorrow took out the sky splitter and started to cut. He cut off a piece of dragon skin, and then pulled out the ice dragon's tendon. He used the ice dragon's skin to make a net. After waving it a few times, Knight Sorrow felt that it was okay. Normal tools would be frozen in the extreme cold currents and would be destroyed in a moment. However, the ice dragon's body was not a problem. It was ice attributed and had a high resistance to cold. Knight Sorrow connected the ice dragon's tendon and made a rope that was 300 meters long. In front of it was a net made of ice dragon's skin. Chapter 1243. The extreme cold current was produced by the ice dragon abyss. So Knight Sorrow headed towards the ice dragon abyss without worrying about missing it. Half a month later, the extreme cold current appeared. Knight Sorrow judged the direction and width of the extreme cold current, and didn't hide far away. Instead, he entered the dragon cauldron and changed his position. He couldn't get close to the extreme cold current because it was already very risky for him. If he got too close and something happened, he wouldn't even be able to run. Knight Sorrow controlled the dragon cauldron to the edge of the extreme cold current's trajectory and waited. The extreme cold current was extremely fast and arrived at Knight Sorrow's side in a moment. However, Knight Sorrow's judgment was very accurate. The dragon cauldron was at the edge of the extreme cold current. Under Knight Sorrow's command, the dragon cauldron shone brightly and firmly pressed down on the ground, controlling it so that the extreme cold current wouldn't sweep it away. Genuine first Hair Knight Sorrow's soul power erupted and probed within the extreme cold current. Even if it consumed a lot of soul power, even if his soul power would be frozen, Knight Sorrow didn't care. He just wanted to find the location of the top quality ore. After probing, Knight Sorrow found a small piece of spatial brass, which was the material used to refine formation discs. He told the dragon cauldron not to block him. Knight Sorrow's arm shook, and the ice dragon web was infused with energy and thrown out. Knight Sorrow's energy was divided into different levels. The outside was time energy, which could resist the freezing of the extreme cold current. After all, the time attribute was second only to the supreme attribute. It had a great effect on speed and time. The inside of the time energy was void Jin Qi. After the ice dragon web left the dragon cauldron, it flew towards the spatial brass, or more accurately, the high-quality spatial brass. In the beginning, the ice dragon rubber string net's speed was quite fast. However, as the ice dragon rubber string net continued to freeze, its speed began to decrease. Fortunately, Knight Sorrow had predicted this, and his timing was quite accurate. Just as the ice dragon rubber string net's energy was about to run out, the ice dragon rubber string net managed to reach its target and capture most of the spatial copper essence. Knight Sorrow shook his arm and pulled the ice dragon skin tendon net back. He threw the spatial copper essence into the dragon cauldron. Knight Sorrow continued to stare at the extreme cold current. However, his condition was deteriorating. It was mainly because he had consumed a lot of soul power. The soul power that he sent out was being consumed by the extreme cold current. Knight Sorrow continued to cast the net. This time Knight Sorrow caught the 10,000-year heavy silver. When the third net was released, it was 2 large pieces of king-grade teleportation crystals. At this time, the extreme cold current had passed. At this time, Knight Sorrow's condition was extremely bad. Even if the extreme cold current hadn't passed, he couldn't continue moving because his soul power had been exhausted. Tired. Truly tired and exhausted. Knight Sorrow brewed a pot of hot tea. As he drank, the concentric crystal in his sleeve vibrated. Knight Sorrow took it out and poured energy into the concentric crystal, connecting it with Datura. Bastard, it's been so long and you still haven't called me. You don't look good. Datura noticed that Knight Sorrow's complexion wasn't very good. This was the aftereffect of Night Sorrow's soul power consumption. I just dealt with some matters, so I consumed a lot of soul power. Night Sorrow rubbed his forehead and said with a smile. He was already used to Datira's gentleness and fiery temper. You consumed a lot of soul power? Did you fight? Datira's eyes were filled with worry. No, I just collected some materials. Here, look. Night Sorrow spun the concentric crystal and let Datira see the materials he collected. Spatial essence copper, 10,000-year heavy silver, high-grade realm teleportation array stone? Did you snatch these from the ice dragon? Datira was very surprised, because the value of these materials was extremely high. No, I got them from the extreme cold current. Just now, so my soul power was somewhat exhausted. Night Sorrow said. Didn't the letter say that the extreme cold current is more dangerous than the ice dragon? How did you get it? Datira was a little curious, because it was very difficult to do. The extreme cold current was one of the greatest dangers in the ice dragon realm. Night Sorrow shook the ice dragon skin tendon net in his hand, and then explained how he got the materials. Datira's face was full of praise, because this was too difficult, and it was also something that others could not replicate, because no one else had the ice dragon skin tendon net, and other tools could not resist the extreme cold current's extreme cold, so there was no chance of grabbing the top quality materials. She knew that Night Sorrow did not need to rely on other adventures. Just this one move would allow him to obtain a large amount of treasures. I plan to continue forward. If I encounter an extreme cold current, I'll fish for some materials and rush to the vicinity of the ice dragon abyss. If there aren't many extreme cold current in the ice dragon abyss, I'll go there and wait. Night Sorrow told Datira his thoughts. This method is feasible, but you have to be careful. There are too many opponents, and you can't even tell if they're humans or dogs. Don't be tricked by others. Datira was worried that Night Sorrow did not have enough experience in the Jianghu. After all, Night Sorrow was too young, and might not even have a fraction of the lifespan of others. Tricking. Aluo, a few days ago, I tricked someone. It's that Ling Ju. Didn't he send people to investigate me? I went and tricked him. Night Sorrow told Datira about how he tricked Ling Ju. That's too ruthless. Last time, the teleportation circle he went to was destroyed by you, and he had to fly for a long time, wasting a lot of time. This time it's even worse. If he didn't find out in time, it would be troublesome when he goes back in the future. Datira shook his head, and felt a little sad for Ling Ju. After offending Night Sorrow, he was continuously tricked. It could be said that he was in a miserable state. He wanted to kill me, and he even investigated me. It's an irreconcilable grudge. There's no need for me to be polite with him. I don't have the ability to kill him, but if I had the ability, I would have killed him right now. Night Sorrow said. Datira nodded. Let's do it like that. Before the Battle of Wits, we have to deal with the B***st* road. Others may spoil him, but we won't. Datira supported Night Sorrow's point of view. Thank you, Aluo. Night Sorrow nodded at Datira. He knew that Datira had done a lot for him, and he supported him in everything. You don't have to be so polite. Are you tired? Then you should recover first, and I'll talk to you when you're free. Datira felt a little sorry for Night Sorrow, because Night Sorrow was indeed in a difficult situation. It could be said that he was risking his life. I'm a little tired, really tired. But isn't this the way to live? It's nothing. Then I'll recover first and talk to you later. Night Sorrow nodded. After that, Night Sorrow began to recover. It was very uncomfortable to use up too much of his soul power. After a day's time, Night Sorrow recovered to his peak state, and then continued to fly, following the mysterious ice river towards the ice dragon abyss. At this time, every team was advancing carefully, because the ice dragon was very active, and if they were discovered, they would be unlucky. The ice dragon was very fast, and if they were discovered by the ice dragon, it would be very difficult to escape, and even more difficult to defeat and kill. Therefore, when some teams were discovered by the ice dragon, they would be weaker, and would use their clones to block it, giving the others a chance to escape. Ling Ju was the same now. and the number of people in his team was decreasing. Chapter 1244. The team was small. Ling Ju thought for a while and decided that even if he had to use a lot of people, he had to go to the core area of the Ice Dragon realm to find the Ice Dragon bones. With this idea, Ling Ju planned to go back and gather more people. When the teleportation array was set up and the teleportation crystal was embedded, Ling Ju roared angrily when the teleportation crystal was black. If the teleportation crystal was dark, there could only be one situation. The corresponding teleportation array was destroyed and could no longer be teleported. After taking 2 deep breaths, Ling Ju calmed down and thought for a while. He felt that there were 2 possibilities. One was that the teleportation array was accidentally destroyed by the demonic beasts, and the other was that Night Sorrow followed the destroyed teleportation array and teleported over to destroy his teleportation array. Ling Ju asked the subordinates beside him if there were any clones with teleportation crystals. If the original body went to the Ice Dragon realm to set up a teleportation array and connect, it would save a lot of time. But after asking, Ling Ju was disappointed because no one had made such an arrangement. Those who had teleportation crystals were either with their clones or with their original bodies. They could not set up a teleportation array to connect with each other. Ling Ju was helpless in this situation. He could only make arrangements. He took out a teleportation crystal and gave it to 2 subordinates to set up a teleportation array. The other was for those who had their original bodies outside to pass down his order to bring people into the Ice Dragon realm, to set up a teleportation array, and then rush over. Giving such an order would cause great losses. Only Ling Ju had the map. The chances of the others rushing over were not high. In addition, it was unknown whether they could return or reach the entrance of the Ice Dragon realm. Everyone knew how dangerous the Ice Dragon realm was and how many demonic beasts there were blocking the way. Ling Ju set up a teleportation array here and told his subordinates that if the matter was successful, they should crush his communication crystal, and he would return. Night Sorrow destroyed Ling Ju's teleportation array, which was equivalent to cutting off Ling Ju's path. Ling Ju's plan could not be carried out, which would waste a lot of time and put him in more danger. Night Sorrow continued forward. When he encountered an extreme cold current, he would use the Dragon Cauldron and the Ice Dragon Web to obtain resources. These resources were the capital to settle down in the future. Night Sorrow felt that this situation was good. The Ice Dragon would not appear in the path of the extreme cold current. The Ice Dragon was also afraid of the extreme cold current. In other words, when he reached the key area of the Ice Dragon realm, he only needed to face the danger of the extreme cold current and the Ice Dragon. If he avoided the extreme cold current, he could enter the territory of the Ice Dragon realm. If he did not avoid the extreme cold current, he would have to face the extreme cold current's extreme cold current to kill. With the help of the hundreds of thousands of life Holy Spirit stones. With gains came motivation. After collecting the resources in the extreme cold current and recovering for a while, Night Sorrow continued to move forward. His goal was the Ice Dragon Abyss. The Ice Dragon Abyss was the core of the Ice Dragon realm. In fact, it was the place where the origin was manifested. It was also the place where the will of heaven and earth was the strongest. The Ice Dragons lived near the Ice Dragon Abyss, and the Ice Dragon Ancestral Land was also there. As for the remains of the Ice Dragon, there would definitely be some. The Ice Dragon realm had existed for countless years. The Ice Dragon realm had extremely high talent. Living in the Ice Dragon realm, which was suitable for their growth, it was naturally easy for them to achieve great things. Normally, entering the king's realm meant that one would not die. It was extremely difficult for the giant-level Ice Dragon to fall. However, the Ice Dragon realm had the trials of wind and fire. The trials of wind and fire were the most fatal for the Ice Dragon race. After one trials of wind and fire, there were no more demonic beasts in the Ice Dragon realm. They were all killed by the trials of wind and fire. However, such a great tribulation would appear for a long time every time. Therefore, the demonic beasts in the Ice Dragon realm could still recuperate. Otherwise, their race would be exterminated. Night Sorrow headed towards the Ice Dragon Abyss. Of course, he still followed the profound ice river. This was the most obvious sign. Although it was possible to take a detour, Night Sorrow was not willing to go straight. The risk was too great. Extreme cold currents continued to appear. Night Sorrow naturally went to plunder the extreme cold currents every time they appeared. Every time he reaped a high harvest, Night Sorrow dispelled his thoughts of rushing back. No matter what he gained in the Ice Dragon Abyss, he could rely on the extreme cold currents to obtain a large amount of resources. The previous harvest of the Ice Dragon's corpse allowed Night Sorrow to obtain the Ice Dragon's skin tendon net. It allowed him to have such an opportunity. It was very difficult for others to obtain the Ice Dragon's corpse. Even if they did, they probably wouldn't have any ideas about the extreme cold currents. This was because the words extreme cold currents were a type of pressure and terror. No one was willing to face this. As he continued to move forward, Night Sorrow got closer and closer to the core area of the Ice Dragon realm. The density of the cold currents also increased. It was not that. It was because Night Sorrow was also getting closer and closer to the Ice Dragon Abyss. Therefore, he could encounter some of the extreme cold currents that did not disperse the radiation. On this day, when Night Sorrow continued to move forward after drinking tea, the extreme cold currents appeared. Night Sorrow informed the Dragon Cauldron to continue working. The Dragon Cauldron enlarged and stabilized itself, so that it would not be swept away by the cold currents. Night Sorrow began to investigate. With this investigation, his expression changed because he discovered a huge monster. Ice Dragon. There was an Ice Dragon in the extreme cold currents. This gave Night Sorrow a fright. How could an Ice Dragon appear in the extreme cold currents? After careful investigation, Night Sorrow discovered that this was not the case. This Ice Dragon's body was rolling in the extreme cold currents, but it was very stiff. It maintained a rolling posture. It was not a living Ice Dragon. It was the skeleton of an Ice Dragon. What to do? What should I do? Night Sorrow was a little anxious. He could not miss the Ice Dragon's skeleton, but it was not that easy for him to collect that huge monster. He could not let it go. Night Sorrow made a decision. This was an opportunity. Even if this Ice Dragon skeleton was not of the Ice Dragon level, it was still an incredible treasure. If it was not damaged, it could be used as the core of a formation. The effect was not as powerful as the Ice Dragon skeleton, but its power could not be underestimated. If it was damaged, it would still be a top-grade material. Essence blood, dragon tendons, and dragon bones were all treasures. Night Sorrow and Night Sorrow also urgently needed essence blood. Some thoughts occurred in an instant. The energy in Night Sorrow's body erupted. His arm shook and the Ice Dragon's tendon net flew out of the Dragon Cauldron. Then it wrapped around the Ice Dragon's skeleton. Its target was the sharp claws of the Ice Dragon's skeleton. Night Sorrow was not afraid that the Ice Dragon's tendon net would be scratched. It did not matter whether it was broken or not. As long as it could wrap around the Ice Dragon's skeleton, it would be enough. If he could pull the Ice Dragon's skeleton into the Dragon Cauldron, then he would have a harvest. This time, Night Sorrow used all his strength. The Ice Dragon's tendon net flew at an extreme speed, and directly flew to one of the claws of the Ice Dragon's front body. 5th update. Chapter 1245. After entangling the Ice Dragon skeleton, Night Sorrow's right arm fiercely pulled. The extreme cold current dragged the Ice Dragon skeleton's enormous energy. Night Sorrow was pulling the Ice Dragon skeleton, but the Dragon Cauldron was also being dragged. The Ice Dragon skeleton was big, so it was affected by the extreme cold current. The Dragon Cauldron was unable to stabilize itself, and was being dragged. Try your best to stabilize it. Night Sorrow growled. His right hand grabbed the Ice Dragon tendon, and did not let go. The extreme cold current was moving forward. The Dragon Cauldron shone brightly to suppress the space and not be dragged away. Ice Chelan also came to help. One of its claws wrapped around the Ice Dragon tendon, and helped Night Sorrow pull. The Dragon Cauldron's ability to suppress space was very strong, but it could not withstand the extreme cold current. The Ice Dragon skeleton was being dragged forward. Don't get sucked into the spatial turbulence. Control the direction. Control the pulling at the edge of the cold current. Night Sorrow shouted at the Dragon Cauldron. It was now the critical moment. The extreme cold current was dragging the dragon cauldron. However, the extreme cold current was fast, so the dragon cauldron was being dragged slower. In 15 minutes, they had covered a distance of 1,000 miles. Genuine first release in just 15 minutes. The dragon cauldron had been dragged 1,000 miles. However, the ice dragon skeleton was also dragged to the tail of the extreme cold current by Night Sorrow and the dragon cauldron. Steady! Night Sorrow roared again. His soul power and body energy poured into the dragon cauldron, and the weapon spirit to suppress the space. Because of the danger, another extreme cold current appeared. In another 100 miles, the two cold currents would converge. If they could not drag the ice dragon skeleton out, they would have to give up. The dragon cauldron spun quickly. It shone brightly and drilled into the ground. Night Sorrow and Ice Chilin pulled the ice dragon tendon with all their might. Right now, a knot on the ice dragon tendon was stuck on the ice dragon claw. If it was the ice dragon skin net, it would have been torn apart. At this moment, Night Sorrow pushed the dragon cauldron to the limit. After enduring for a while, the extreme cold current passed, leaving behind a lifelike ice dragon skeleton. With a shake of his arm and a burst of soul force, Night Sorrow stored the ice dragon skeleton into the dragon cauldron. He then sat down and rested. This period of tension and excitement made him realize that he didn't have much energy left in his body. It was all gone. Night Sorrow started to recover after eating the pellet. It was very important to always be in peak condition in the ice dragon realm, because all kinds of unexpected events could happen at any time. After cultivating for half a day, Night Sorrow finally recovered to his peak state. This time, he had consumed too much energy. After recovering, Night Sorrow suppressed his excitement and looked at the newly obtained ice dragon skeleton. The ice dragon skeleton inside the dragon cauldron was lifelike. There was a look of vicissitudes in its eyes. Night Sorrow saw determination, unwillingness, and unyielding in its eyes. It was unwillingness to die and unyielding in the face of the heavenly Tao's punishment until the end of its life. It was a big harvest, but Night Sorrow knew that this was not the skeleton of an ice dragon. The ice dragon's scales had a golden glow, but the one in front of him did not. But even if it was not the skeleton of an ice dragon, its value was still very high. In order to obtain this ice dragon skeleton, Night Sorrow had paid a great price. The dragon cauldron burned for a while, and 2,000 Saint Spirit stones were used up. Of course, this was nothing. What Night Sorrow had paid was the risk of an accident. Looking at the ice dragon skeleton, Night Sorrow had some thoughts in his heart. The dead ice dragon still had the temperament to fight against the heavens. Even when a dragon died, its will would not waver. Even when a tiger died, it would not lower its head. Even when it reached the end of its life, the ice dragon's eyes did not yield. It was still full of determination. The will of the heavens was like a blade. Without enough strength, it would be destroyed by the heavenly Tao. The lightning tribulation and the wind tribulation were manifestations of the will of the heavens. The wind tribulation and the wind tribulation were the fate of the ice dragon clan. Night Sorrow looked at the ice dragon's corpse. He felt that even if the ice dragon skeleton was a valuable material, it could not be destroyed. Night Sorrow felt that it was blasphemous. In the future, he would stay in Seven Night City or Sky City to be a guardian god. This was Night Sorrow's decision. The damaged skeleton could be used as a material. Night Sorrow felt that it was not suitable to use the undamaged ice dragon skeleton as a material. Shaking off his thoughts, Night Sorrow continued forward. He still had to collect the treasures in the extreme cold current. Since he was here, it was worth it. He could accumulate some good things for the nine-domain world. Although Night Sorrow came to the ice dragon realm for his own future, it was also for the nine-domain world. It was to search for treasures for the nine-domain world and create a powerful defensive formation for the nine-domain world. Advancing towards the ice dragon abyss, Night Sorrow continued to grab treasures in the extreme cold current. There were not many opportunities like this. As for the ice dragon skin tendon net at the beginning, it could not be used. The dragon tendon was not damaged, but the dragon skin net was damaged. However, making a net did not require much dragon skin. It was not even 1/10 of the damaged ice dragon's body. After making another dragon skin net, Night Sorrow continued to compete with the extreme cold current and continued to collect materials. The materials in the extreme cold current were very mixed, but they were all extremely high grade. The low-grade materials had already been destroyed in the extreme cold current. Now was the chance to earn materials. After reaching the Ice Dragon Abyss, Night Sorrow would have to change his path. He would have to go to the Ice Dragon Ancestral Land. He still had to try his luck with the Ice Dragon's bones. If it really didn't work, then he would activate the Illusion Array Disc, and then use the Transmission Array Disc to leave. Night Sorrow was very satisfied with his harvest. He did not go back because he still had a chance to try his luck. After fishing up some treasures in the extreme cold current once again, Night Sorrow entered the Dragon Cauldron to rest. At this time, Datura arrived. After connecting to the concentric crystal, Night Sorrow showed Datura the Ice Dragon's bones he had collected. This is a complete Ice Dragon skeleton. Although it's not an Ice Dragon skeleton, it's still extremely valuable. You're really good. Datura's eyes were filled with astonishment. It was extremely difficult to obtain the Ice Dragon skeleton. One had to know that the Ice Dragon was a group of creatures. Before they died, they would all return to the Ice Dragon's ancestral land. My luck is good, but in order to obtain it, I really spent a lot of effort. It was not easy. When my attainments in array formations are deep enough, then I will place it in the 7-Night City or the City in the Sky. If the 9 Regions world develops well, then I will place it in the City in the Sky and let it be the guardian god. That way, I will not blaspheme it. Night Sorrow said, "Your way of thinking is correct. In fact, when you become stronger, no one will touch 7-Night City. No one is stupid. The 9-Domain world is your root. You can't destroy your foundation and touch your 7-Night City? Only a fool would do that." Datura said. Night Sorrow nodded. This was the truth. In a situation where he couldn't do anything to himself, anyone who touched the 7-Night City would trigger his revenge. I'm not far from the Ice Dragon Abyss. When I get there, I'll take a look at the situation. That's the core of the Ice Dragon world. But it's hard to say if I can find the Ice Dragon's ancestral land. Night Sorrow said. You can't force it. The Ice Dragon's ancestral land is the place that the Ice Dragons value the most. It can even be said that there are high-level Ice Dragons patrolling the area. The Ice Dragon's patriarch might also be nearby. Datura said. Chapter 1246. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew some things, but what he needed to do now was to be even more cautious. Datura told Night Sorrow some other things. The Sky Profound World's Tian dynasty had made some big moves recently. They were taking in some small forces, and were about to surround 7-Night City. Jump! Wait for me to go back and deal with them. It's time to settle this matter. Night Sorrow let out a breath. When he mentioned Tian dynasty, he was angry. Shang Tianfeng was a scum with an extremely bad character. It's just a small force. The leader is a 5-star king. Why don't I help you get rid of them? Datura said. No. I have to do it myself. This is the hatred of our Night Clan. Night Sorrow said. Okay, then I'll wait for you to come back and deal with them. You should have the ability to deal with them. Datura said. Night Sorrow nodded. When his time attribute advanced to a 2-star king, Night Sorrow had the thought of dealing with Tian dynasty. However, he felt that it was still not enough because Tian dynasty had 3 kings. He alone was not enough. With a 4-star king and an Ice Qilin by his side, Night Sorrow felt that it was enough. He could take down Tian dynasty without relying on external forces. After chatting for a while, Datura reminded Night Sorrow to be careful again and again. Then, he disconnected the concentric crystal. Shang Tianfeng, it's time to pay back the debt. Night Sorrow let out a breath. In Night Sorrow's heart, he could not care less. He could let go of some grudges if he could. For example, Qinglin and Qinghuan, it was not a big deal. He also did not hold on to the matter of Yanmen sect. However, he could not do it in the Tiannan Empire. Shang Tianfeng had done something that angered both humans and gods. He must die. Positive hashtag. Version Night Sorrow didn't know what was going on with Yi Qianhua and Yi Tian. Night Sorrow felt that they were all people with accumulated experience, and had the chance to enter the king's realm. When Yi Tian and Yi Qianhua went out to explore by themselves, Night Sorrow didn't ask. Elders also had their dignity and weren't willing to live under his wings. After pondering for a while, Night Sorrow put down his thoughts and continued forward. Destroying the Sky South dynasty was something he would do after leaving this place. As for the Sky South dynasty wanting to attack Seven Night City now, with Datura there, they would definitely be safe and sound. Night Sorrow laughed at himself. Now he was really relying on a woman to protect him. As he moved forward, Night Sorrow got closer and closer to the Ice Dragon Abyss. However, there were fewer and fewer treasures in the cold current, so there were no treasures that could be spat out. This made Night Sorrow very puzzled. It wasn't easy to find a way to collect them, so why were there no treasures left? After observing for a while, Night Sorrow found the crux of the problem. In the past, the cold current was surging wildly. Now it was spinning cold current, so it couldn't spit out anything. Cycle. Night Sorrow felt that this might be the cycle of the extreme cold current. It should be divided into different periods. There was only one type of cold current in each period. The current circling cold current was an extreme cold current that could not bring out resources. Night Sorrow didn't have any other emotions that he couldn't accept. He understood that everything had a limit. He had already collected a lot of extreme quality materials. If he kept collecting them, it would destroy the balance of the heavens. As he continued to move forward towards the Ice Dragon Abyss, Night Sorrow looked at the map. According to the map carver's estimation, the Ice Dragon's ancestral land was 1,000,000 miles to the east of the Ice Dragon Abyss. However, the map carver back then didn't manage to enter the Ice Dragon's ancestral land, and was chased away by the Ice Dragon. In order to avoid being attacked by the Monarch rank Ice Dragon, the people who entered were all below the Monarch rank. It was unrealistic for those below the Monarch rank to fight their way out of the Ice Dragon's core area. They were all like thieves. If they were discovered, they could only run. No one was an exception. Night Sorrow was very careful. When he moved forward, he used his soul power to the maximum. If he discovered the Ice Dragon first, he would hide. If he was discovered by the Ice Dragon first, there was only one way out, and that was to run. Ling Ju and the others were the same. No one dared to be arrogant. They all moved forward secretly. Now there were only 4 people left with him. The others had been killed by the Ice Dragon. Tangbo and his companions were also sitting together and discussing. It was wrong for us to kill the Ice Dragon first. Tangbo said to the people beside him. I don't understand what you mean, Yu Guan said, shaking his head. From the looks of it, the Ice Dragon clan is very vigilant. It can be said that they are not in a deep sleep. This is because the Ice Dragon clan leader has notified them, otherwise, there would not be such a situation. There is only one reason for the Ice Dragon clan leader to issue such a warning order, and that is to discover the fall of his clansmen. Tangbo said his analysis. The Ice Dragon King and the Ice Dragon Patriarch were 2 different concepts. Ice Dragons could be Ice Dragons leaders, but Ice Dragons leaders were not necessarily Ice Dragons. Ice Dragons leaders were status, while Ice Dragons were status. The 2 had different meanings. King, sometimes you don't have to think too much. Even if we don't kill it, there might be others who will. The situation should be as it is. At least we have already obtained an Ice Dragon's corpse, Yu Guan said. Tangbo nodded. He was just lamenting for a moment. After the team had rested, Tangbo looked at the group of people and said, We have already entered the hinterland of the Ice Dragon realm, which is also the core of the Ice Dragon clan. Danger is everywhere, and our requirement for ourselves is to avoid being discovered by the Ice Dragon. But sometimes, things might not be caused by us. When there is danger, don't hesitate. I will cover the rear. You all retreat immediately. Gather at the rendezvous point we have set, and then retreat. Why? Another team member asked. How should I put it? We can't be sure that we are the only ones who have entered the hinterland of the Ice Dragons. Maybe there are others who have entered. No matter who they are, as long as they are discovered by the Ice Dragons, they will conduct a thorough search. We can't hide. In other words, No matter who it is in the hinterland of the ice dragons, as long as an outsider is discovered by the ice dragons, it will be a monstrous matter. No one will have another chance, and they will all be killed and expelled. We can only hope that the others have not arrived. This way, our fate is still in our hands. Tang Bo explained the reason for his order. Tang Bo explained and continued to lead the team. He was advancing according to the map drawn by his ancestors. At this time, there were several other teams entering the hinterland of the ice dragons from different directions. They were all relatively strong teams. In the Shenwu Great World, the teams of the Zhanwu dynasty and the Hall of Martial Gods had also arrived in this area. In the Xianhuang world, there was another team besides Tang Bo. As for the world of Samsara, Ling Ju and his team had arrived. The blood-robed guards, the Qing Emperor's guards, and the people of the Blackfean Valley were still in the peripheral area. Their map was not complete, so they were slow. Night Sorrow found the mysterious ice river first. With the help of the ice Qilin, they arrived here first. Night Sorrow was not far from the ice dragon abyss at this time. The extremely cold air was very difficult for him to bear. He had to use energy to protect his body. Chapter 1247. Night Sorrow's body had the strength of a 2-star king, but he still could not withstand the extreme cold of the ice dragon abyss. He could only disperse the desolation's energy into his body, and combine it with his body's energy to withstand the extreme cold and move forward. Night Sorrow did not want to use a protective shield, because the energy fluctuations would be easily detected. Night Sorrow was very careful as he was already close to the ice dragons. If he was not careful, he would have to use the teleportation formation disc to escape. Maybe he could escape, but once the ice dragons were alert, it would be harder to enter the second time. So it was best not to be discovered. Night Sorrow felt pretty good as he walked alone in this world of ice and snow. If he was not afraid of being discovered, he would really want to roar a few times. The different feeling gave Night Sorrow a different state of mind. Night Sorrow thought it through. It was right to be careful, but there was no need to feel pressured. If there were gains, there would be gains. If there were none, he could not force it. He had gained enough in the ice dragon realm. He could not be greedy. If there were any gains, he would treat it calmly. With energy protecting the wine jar, Night Sorrow drank 2 big mouthfuls of wine, and continued forward. Night Sorrow felt much more relaxed. Forward. He kept moving forward every day. When he was tired, Night Sorrow would rest in the dragon cauldron. He also refined a broadsword for his son, and a light longsword for his daughter. Because it was just a transition from childhood, Night Sorrow did not refine a high-grade one, but he put in a lot of effort. This was his first gift as a father. Night Sorrow had been exploring for 3 years. His child was already 4 years old, and had already started to cultivate under the guidance of his mother and aunts. His son and daughter both liked to cultivate, so Night Sorrow did not stop them. He did not want to force his children to do anything, including cultivation. But if his children liked it, he would definitely support them. In the words of Summer City, Night Sorrow was very doting when it came to children. Night Sorrow had his own thoughts. His childhood and youth were a little tiring, but his child didn't need it. His hard work was enough. He would fight for the sky for his family. Night Sorrow doted on her, but Sikong Chuyu, Aoi, and Yang Lei were very strict. Since the child was talented, they couldn't waste it, and had to work hard to cultivate. Thinking of his family, Night Sorrow's heart felt warm because he had a warm family. A family that was worth fighting for. After advancing for more than 10 days, Night Sorrow approached the ice dragon abyss. Night Sorrow knew that there was a difference in safety. There was no small danger, but if there was, it would be extremely dangerous. If there was an ice dragon near the ice dragon abyss, it would be a top-tier monarch. Monarch rank ice dragons were all in deep slumber, and would not wake up easily. However, if they did, it would be fatal. Night Sorrow felt that he shouldn't look for trouble. As long as the monarch rank ice dragon didn't wake up, he could get through this. Night Sorrow constantly channeled the power of desolates into his body. He even drank a drop of spiritual liquid of origin and life liquid of life every once in a while to replenish his energy. The extreme cold consumed a lot of Night Sorrow's energy, so he needed to replenish it. After replenishing his energy, Night Sorrow continued forward. 6 days later, Night Sorrow arrived at the Ice Dragon Abyss. Night Sorrow knew what extreme cold meant, because almost everything was frozen. Other than the cold currents, the air was frozen and still. Night Sorrow felt that his clothes had hardened and were no longer fitting. He felt that this was not a place for humans to stay. The Ice Dragon Abyss, as the name suggested, was a deep abyss filled with ice water. The ice water churned and white cold air surged. Streams of extreme cold currents were produced and flew out. Night Sorrow saw a strange sight. There were ice dragon skeletons in the cold air above the ice water, and they were all intact. In the middle, there was an ice dragon that was 400 to 500 feet long. Its white scales had a golden luster, but there was no aura of life. Ice dragon skeleton. That was the skeleton of a Heaven Master level ice dragon. Up to 4 new chapters. Yishang didn't even have the slightest thought of taking it away, because it was impossible. Yishang stood outside the Ice Dragon Abyss, and didn't dare to touch the extreme cold chi. If he dared to approach it, let alone the Ice Dragon skeleton, even if he approached the Ice Dragon Abyss, he would be frozen to death by the extreme cold chi. Night Sorrow also understood what was going on with his Ice Dragon skeleton. It was brought out by the extreme cold current. This wasn't the Ice Dragon's ancestral land. These Ice Dragon skeletons should have been brought in by the circulating extreme cold current. Night Sorrow had coincidentally brought the Ice Dragon skeleton out when the extreme cold current was produced. After the extreme cold current was produced, it rushed towards the outside. It had nothing to do with the Ice Dragon skeleton in the Ice Dragon Abyss. Forbidden area, absolutely forbidden area. There was no possibility of any tricks. Anyone who dared to approach the Ice Dragon Abyss would die without a doubt. One could get it just because one's cultivation was high. If a monarch-level ice dragon dared to come, it was possible that a monarch-level ice dragon would attack before reaching the core area. They would only be killed. They wouldn't even have the qualifications to approach the core area. Even the Heaven Masters didn't dare to barge in recklessly. If there was a living ice dragon fighting near the Ice Dragon Abyss, even the Heaven Masters would be killed. After watching for a while, Night Sorrow left. Going to the Ice Dragon's ancestral land went smoothly. Night Sorrow even considered returning to the Ice Dragon Abyss to take a look. Then he would choose a direction with the most extreme cold current, and wait for the cycle of the extreme cold current to change, so that he could collect the treasure. After leaving, Night Sorrow found an ice dragon. This ice dragon's body was huge. It was 200 feet long and had a diameter of 200 to 300 feet. 200 feet was the maximum length a monarch-level ice dragon could grow. If it exceeded this length, it would no longer be a monarch-level ice dragon, but a Heaven Master-level ice dragon. This ice dragon was in a deep slumber. Night Sorrow took a detour and continued forward. Dragons like to sleep. In fact, it was also a form of cultivation. If there was no danger, they wouldn't wake up. Night Sorrow didn't have any killing intent, so he didn't disturb it. Night Sorrow knew that this was a true expert. Cultivating here was to reach the perfect will, and become a Heaven Master level magnate. After passing this monarch level ice dragon, Night Sorrow continued forward. After traveling for about 200 miles, he found another ice dragon. Terrifying. It was so terrifying. In such a short distance, there were already 2 monarch-level ice dragons sleeping and cultivating. It was obvious how strong the ice dragon race was. Who would dare to force their way in? Even a Heaven Master-level magnate would be unlucky. As he continued forward, Night Sorrow sent out more than 10 monarch-level ice dragons. They were all cultivating near the Ice Dragon Abyss. Night Sorrow wanted to pass through this area and advance towards the Ice Dragon's ancestral land. Safety in the midst of danger. This was what Night Sorrow realized. Monarch-level ice dragons were extremely dangerous, but they wouldn't wake up easily. Without attracting the ice dragons, Night Sorrow found a safe place and set up an illusion array and a teleportation array before continuing forward. He didn't know how far he was from the Ice Dragon's ancestral land, but he knew that it was near this area. As long as he continued forward, he would reach it. However, there were many ice dragons nearby. There were no weaklings because those who could cultivate here were all experts of the ice dragons. Ling Ju also brought people close to the core area. He knew that it was time to fight. Whether or not he could reap great rewards depended on whether things went smoothly in the Ice Dragon's ancestral land. However, he was very unlucky. As soon as he entered the core area, he was discovered by a patrolling ice dragon. Chapter 1248. If they were discovered by the ice dragon, they would have to fight. However, before the fight began, the ice dragon raised its head and roared to inform its companions. If they found intruders in other places, the ice dragon would take care of them themselves. However, this was the core area of the Ice Dragon clan, and outsiders were not allowed to be presumptuous. This was not its own business, but the Ice Dragon clan's business. Ling Fei, block it. Everyone else run. Ling Ju gave the order without hesitation. This was the core area of the Ice Dragons. Fighting with the Ice Dragon here was suicide. However, the Ice Dragon did not attack the cannon fodder that Ling Ju had left behind. Instead, it chased after Ling Ju and his companions. Ling Ju cursed in his heart. He was unlucky. After discovering the Ice Dragon, it was too late for him to escape. The Ice Dragons had a huge advantage in the core area of the Ice Dragons. Ling Ju ran as he fired his sword Qi. This was a race against the Grim Reaper. If the other Ice Dragons caught up and surrounded him, he would die. Original. In fact, the other Ice Dragons arrived very quickly. They only took a few minutes. At this time, Ling Ju did not care about the others. He used a secret technique to escape quickly. He knew that the people he had brought with him would be annihilated. However, he did not run. The Ice Dragon had caught up. Ling Ju used a secret technique to escape quickly. However, there was still an Ice Dragon chasing after him. Only a few cannon fodder were left to fight with the Ice Dragon. In the end, they were killed. At this time, Night Sorrow was also in danger. He was about to go around a sleeping monarch rank ice dragon when the ice dragon started to move. It was going to wake up. Night Sorrow's body flashed and entered the dragon cauldron. If the monarch rank ice dragon discovered him, it would either die or escape successfully. There was no third possibility. After Night Sorrow entered the dragon cauldron, he carefully observed the monarch rank ice dragon to see what was going on. At this time, the monarch-ranked giant ice dragon took off and flew out. Night Sorrow did not know what was going on. In fact, the ice dragons had a secret communication channel. Now that there was an invasion, the ice dragons moved. This was not making a mountain out of a molehill. This was the core area of the ice dragons, the area where the ice dragon hall was located. The ancestral land of the ice dragons was also in this area, so they could not afford to lose it. The monarch rank ice dragon wasn't the only one that moved. The other monarch rank ice dragons moved as well. They started patrolling the area. Among the ice dragons, there was a strict hierarchy. 7-star king level ice dragons could only summon the king level ice dragon summoning code. 7-star king level ice dragons could ask for help from monarch level ice dragons. Only a monarch rank ice dragon could summon an ice dragon. The ice dragon that met Ling Ju just now was a Star King level ice dragon, so its warning call woke up all the other dragons except for the ice dragon. They began to patrol the core area of the ice dragon. Night Sorrow was able to hide, but the others were unlucky. Because there were too many people, it was impossible to hide, so the only way was to run. Tangbo was also running. There really are some unlucky people who cause trouble. Tangbo cursed as he ran. They had suffered from other people's mistakes before, so they were a little angry. Tangbo was strong, so he could run and fight the ice dragon at the same time, giving his subordinates enough time to escape. Once they left the core area, they would have a chance to live. Ling Juehuang was running in a random direction when he saw Tangbo cooperate. Ling Ju shouted as he ran towards Tangbo. Tangbo's face was filled with anger. Ling Ju was alone with an ice dragon behind him. He was a team. Cooperate? This was clearly a ploy to bring trouble to others, a ploy to trick them. Stay away from us. Damn it, you were discovered by the ice dragon? Stay away from us. Otherwise, I don't care about the ice dragon. I will kill you first. Tangbo shouted at Ling Ju. Do you think I'm willing to be discovered? You have the right to kill me. Ling Ju's expression changed. Tangbo really didn't give him any face, and directly didn't give him the chance to cause trouble. Arrogant cultivators would do what they said. Ling Ju's counterattack was not at a disadvantage, but he understood that if he really lured the ice dragon to Tangbo, Tangbo would give up on defending against the ice dragon and attack him first. At that time, he would have the ice dragon behind him and another opponent. It would be troublesome. Ling Ju changed his direction and continued to run. From time to time, he would attack the ice dragon that was chasing him. Tangbo and the others also changed their direction of escape. The main reason was that they didn't want to be with the sinister Ling Ju. After running for a distance, he really couldn't shake off the ice dragon. Tangbo raised his right hand, and a fiery red light appeared, enveloping the ice dragon. "Quick, follow me." Tangbo's body flashed and rushed forward. What he had just thrown out was a life-saving treasure, the flaming heavenly sand, which was specially used to restrain the ice dragon. Unless it was a last resort, he really didn't want to use it. After the fiery red flaming heavenly sand left Tangbo's hand, it turned into a sky full of flames and flew toward the ice dragon. The ice dragon's body circled and waved its sharp claws to release ice energy to suppress the damage caused by the flaming heavenly sand. However, at this time, Tangbo quickly left with the others. After a considerable distance, Tangbo took out an illusion formation plate and activated it. After that, he took the people behind him to rest. "We met a shameless person. He's not from our Bound of Universe world," Yu Guan said. "Judging from his clothes and flying skills, he's from the celestial sect in the world of Samsara. This bastard. Once he's discovered, we won't be able to enter the ice dragon's ancestral land." Tangbo was very angry. "Is he the person that you discovered when we killed the ice dragon?" Yu Guan asked. "No, I didn't see that person clearly, but his aura is different from this guy. Let's not talk about it now and don't have any delusions. The ice dragon has just woken up from its deep sleep, and will not enter it for a period of time. Therefore, we have lost our chance. Let's take a rest. Our next target is the mysterious ice river." Tangbo was not a wishy-washy person. Since there was no hope in the core area of the ice dragons, he planned to change his target directly. In the team, Tangbo was the absolute authority. Whatever he said was the truth. The others began to meditate to recover. They had been running all the time and had consumed a lot of energy. Night Sorrow watched the monarch-level ice dragon fly away. It was flying towards the periphery of the core area of the ice dragons. He knew that something had happened outside. It was very likely that a team had entered and was discovered. Now was his chance to quickly approach the ice dragon's ancestral land. After leaving the dragon cauldron, Night Sorrow quickly flew towards the ice dragon's ancestral land. During the flight, Night Sorrow used his will to suppress the energy fluctuation. At the same time, he also explored the largest area. He was also worried that he would encounter a monarch-level ice dragon that had woken up. After flying for a while, Night Sorrow felt that this would not work. After all, it was risky because the ice dragon's ancestral land would definitely be guarded by ice dragons that would not leave easily. If he rashly approached, he would be in trouble regardless of whether it was the patrolling ice dragons or the guarding ice dragons. After all, any ice dragon could easily take care of him. Staying in the dragon cauldron, Night Sorrow pondered. Subsequently, he planned to study advanced formation discs and a large number of illusion formation discs. Chapter 1249. Most of the time, low-level array discs were one-off products. The illusion-killing array that Night Sorrow had refined was like this. After it was activated, the array disc would shatter if it couldn't withstand it. Night Sorrow planned to refine a high-level array disc. He decided to put in some effort and research a mobile array disc. At this time, Datura vibrated Night Sorrow's messaging crystal. Night Sorrow brewed a pot of tea and talked to Datura about the recent situation and his thoughts on refining an array disc. If you have enough materials, refine an illusion array disc. Before the illusion array disc shatters, use a second one. This way, it will be enough to last you until you reach the ancestral land of the ice dragons. However, I think the ancestral land of the ice dragons must be very dangerous. There might even be monarch-level ice dragons guarding it. Datura said, I'll try to increase my proficiency first. If I can refine a high-level one, I can keep using it. Night Sorrow said, this is very difficult. High-level array discs can only be refined by high-level heavenly array masters and high-level heavenly artifact masters. First of all, the materials are hard to find. Not to mention that you have the spatial copper essence, but your cultivation might not be able to support it. Datura said, in the Supreme World, there were still some heavenly masters. According to their levels, they were divided into beginner, intermediate, and advanced. A beginner king could become a beginner heavenly master. An intermediate king could become an intermediate heavenly master, and only an advanced king could become an advanced heavenly master. Whether it was the alchemy Dao, artifact Dao, or array Dao, they all followed this rule. Our positive J version, my situation might be a bit special, because my soul power is stronger. I've forged a high-grade sovereign weapon a long time ago. Now that I'm forging a high-grade array disc, what I'm lacking is proficiency. I should be able to raise my proficiency a bit. Yishan was very confident in himself. You're ruthless enough. Even in the top forces, they don't nurture heavenly masters like this. Datura said. Alchemists, blacksmiths, and array masters' achievements depended on one's talent first, and then one's proficiency in alchemy and blacksmithing. Night Sorrow had helped others refine pills and blacksmiths, but he had helped himself out. The ice dragon is already on full alert. It would be difficult for me to do anything even if I were to go to the ancestral land of the ice dragon. However, since I'm here, I won't be satisfied if I don't go to the ancestral land of the ice dragon. Night Sorrow said. Datura nodded. She could understand Night Sorrow's current state of mind. Harvest was secondary. If they didn't even reach their destination, it would be equivalent to failure. Admitting failure without any effort was something that no cultivator would be willing to face. To put it bluntly, it was cowardice. After chatting with Datura for a while and breaking the concentric crystal, Night Sorrow brewed a pot of tea and began to study the array disc. Night Sorrow wanted to break through to the advanced heavenly array master, which required a process that was not that easy. It was very difficult to break through to the advanced heavenly master level because the advanced king level materials were rare. Not to mention an individual. Even if a force wanted to nurture an advanced heavenly master, it was extremely difficult. Night Sorrow relied on refining pills and blacksmithing for others to raise his support skills. He had also been deducing the array disc. The refinement of a high-level array disc required one's cultivation in array Dao and blacksmithing to catch up. This was also the reason why array discs were so precious. Night Sorrow now had the materials, array Dao and blacksmithing cultivation, which was why he had the confidence to study high-level array discs. After calming down, Night Sorrow took out the materials and went through the illusion array in his mind. Then he began to refine it. He used the spatial brass, which could refine an intermediate heavenly array disc. That was why he used the spatial brass to refine an intermediate heavenly array disc. It was a success. It was an intermediate illusion array disc. Night Sorrow had successfully refined it because the array disc was relatively simple. Night Sorrow then engraved the killing lock array onto the spatial brass. Then he inserted a Saint Spirit stone and refined it. After that, Night Sorrow studied the refinement of the array disc every day. Because he was worried about the materials, after every refinement, Night Sorrow would summarize the gains and losses. Then, after careful consideration, he would refine it again. After a month, Night Sorrow had used up all the spatial brass in his hands. After obtaining many array discs, Night Sorrow also gained some valuable experience. Next, Night Sorrow wanted to refine an advanced array disc. He wanted to engrave the Sealing Sky illusionary killing array that he had researched himself. It was an advanced heavenly master array disc. An advanced array disc had to correspond with an array of the same level. It was extremely difficult. Even the slightest mistake in the engraving of the array disc could not be made. After failing again and again, Night Sorrow summed up his experience while feeling heartache for the materials. In the third month, Night Sorrow refined the Sealing Sky illusionary killing array disc. At this time he had consumed 1/3 of the spatial brass that he had obtained in the extreme cold current. Yi Shang activated the disc array and exited the dragon cauldron. Holding the disc array, Yi Shang felt the surrounding scenery change. He walked around with the disc array in hand. As he walked, the scenery Yi Shang saw constantly changed. He knew that if someone looked over from the outside, they would only see a vast expanse of ice and snow. They could not see him. Success! The advanced array disc was successfully refined. Night Sorrow saw another life-saving trump card. Happy. Night Sorrow was truly happy. Night Sorrow then returned to the dragon cauldron and continued studying the array disc. Since he had refined an advanced array disc, he would study a few more backups. Night Sorrow refined some array discs for the Ceiling Sky Illusionary Killing Array and the Ceiling Sky Illusionary Killing Array. Array discs were different from actual large arrays. The power was similar, but the area they covered was much smaller. The large array that Night Sorrow had set up in the past could cover a military camp with a radius of tens of miles or even hundreds of miles. However, the area that the array disc could cover was relatively smaller. With a few advanced array discs in hand, Night Sorrow felt more at ease. He felt that he could go out and play. There was definitely no problem in terms of safety. First, he would use the illusionary killing array to hide. If an ice dragon discovered him, Night Sorrow could use the Ceiling Sky Illusionary Killing Array to trap the opponent. Then he would use the Ceiling Sky Illusionary Killing Array to protect himself. After activating the teleportation array disc, he could quickly leave. Night Sorrow was very satisfied with the current effect. He supported the array disc of the Ceiling Sky Illusionary Killing Array and flew forward. Anyway, with the Illusionary Killing Array hiding him, even if there were ice dragons, it would not be so easy to discover him. At this time, many ice dragons had returned to their positions and were cultivating. Even with the Ceiling Sky Illusionary Killing Array hiding him, Night Sorrow was still very careful. A monarch rank ice dragon was not that simple. If he was alerted, it would be very easy for him to discover him. Since he had already reached this level, Night Sorrow did not want to fail because of his carelessness. Every day, Yi Shang was getting closer and closer to the ancestral land of the ice dragons. He was thinking about the situation in the ancestral land of the ice dragons, what he could do, and what risks there would be. After experiencing too many things, Night Sorrow's mind was much more mature than his peers. Night Sorrow had thought of ways to solve some of the things that could happen. 10th update. Thank you for your support, brothers. 3 days and 31 updates are in place. I will keep my promise. Here, I wish you a happy 4th birthday. Regarding the update situation, 4 updates will start tomorrow and erupt at irregular times. By the end of this month, more than 100 chapters have been updated. Shizi promised that once his condition was good, he would erupt on time. He had to be worthy of his brothers and sisters. Chapter 1250. Night Sorrow numbered every teleportation crystal that he had set up. When needed, he could directly use the teleportation array disc to teleport. If he wanted to leave the Ice Dragon realm, Night Sorrow could set up a high-level teleportation array and connect it to the teleportation array at the entrance of the Ice Dragon realm. However, Night Sorrow still had plans to go back. He still planned to continue guarding the extreme cold current. This kind of opportunity to collect top-grade materials was very rare. If he missed it, there would not be such an opportunity. A distance of 1,000,000 miles was nothing to King. If it was in the past, Night Sorrow would be worried about everything, and his speed would be slow. Now that he had a mobile illusion array to protect him, and he had a way out, he was confident and courageous, and his speed increased a little. 5 days later, Night Sorrow found the ancestral land of the ice dragons. There were no signs on the map, but Night Sorrow could tell from the habitat of the ice dragons. The ancestral land of the ice dragons was the holy land of the ice dragon race, and it was also a forbidden area. It was a place that the ice dragon race defended with all their might, and there were many ice dragons guarding this place. Night Sorrow was a 4-star king, and he could see the depths of the ice dragons with 7-star king cultivation. Some of the ice dragons that he could not see the cultivation level of were the Star King and Monarch rank ice dragons. Night Sorrow could not help but admire the tyranny of the ice dragon race. With such strength, it was unrealistic for any force to attack. One had to know that the ice dragon race had a unique advantage in the ice dragon realm. Not to mention fighting beyond their level, they would definitely crush those of the same level. Of course, outside the ice dragon realm, the combat strength of the ice dragons would decrease. If such strength was not limited by the trials of wind and fire, it would be extremely terrifying. Perhaps the trials of wind and fire only existed because the heavenly Tao was fair. Night Sorrow arrived at the location. The ancestral land of the ice dragons was a canyon with piercingly cold ice wind. On both sides of the canyon's entrance, there were two gigantic ice dragons coiled around the ice pillars. Their bodies were 2,000 feet long, and they were monarch rank ice dragons. There were also ice dragons coiling around the mountains on both sides of the canyon. These ice dragons were all in a sleeping state. Night Sorrow knew that this was the case when nothing happened. If something happened, these ice dragons would wake up to fight. In fact, these ice dragons were not in a deep sleep. Thinking about it, Night Sorrow did not know how to enter this canyon. It was not realistic to enter with the current method. The canyon entrance was not very wide, and if he moved with the disc array, there would be energy fluctuations. He would definitely be discovered by the ice dragon. Night Sorrow did not want to use such a risky method. Translator. Lon_editor. Ephidacia. Looking at both sides of the canyon, Night Sorrow decided not to go to the mouth of the canyon. There was cold wind at the mouth of the canyon, so it would be easier to go through the mountain wall. With some thoughts in mind, Night Sorrow began to take action. He took the disc array and flew to the side of the canyon. Then, he entered the dragon cauldron. He planned to control the shrunken dragon cauldron to fly past the ice dragon's guard and enter the ancestral land of the ice dragons. The crucial moment was about to arrive. Yi Shang drank a jar of wine and relaxed. Then he controlled the dragon cauldron to approach the walls of the canyon. He felt that his chances were quite high. The ice dragon was in a deep sleep. Moreover, the dragon cauldron's flight didn't carry much energy in the snow. As the dragon cauldron slowly approached, Night Sorrow was a little excited. As long as he passed the blockade, it would be fine. Night Sorrow was worried that he would not be able to enter. As for leaving, that was easy. He had a teleportation array disc, and even if he was discovered, he could throw out a few heaven-sealing illusionary killing array discs and heaven-sealing trap killing array discs. Night Sorrow controlled the dragon cauldron to pass through the alert area guarded by the ice dragons and rolled down the slope of the canyon into the canyon. Night Sorrow's heart skipped a beat as he controlled the dragon cauldron to roll down. He had passed another stage and was getting closer and closer to his goal. Regardless of whether he could succeed or not, at least hope was in front of him. The canyon was filled with astral winds, but at this time, Night Sorrow was some distance away from the top of the canyon and the mouth of the canyon. It was difficult to control the dragon cauldron, so Night Sorrow took out the disc array and continued to fly. Just now, in the dragon cauldron, Night Sorrow had already changed the Holy Spirit stone in the disc array. He could use it all the time. When he passed through the canyon, Night Sorrow was stunned. At the mouth of the canyon was a huge basin. The sky in the basin was white, and ice dragon skeletons were coiled inside. Night Sorrow looked down and saw at least thousands of ice dragon skeletons in the basin. In the middle of the basin, there were 3 ice dragons with golden scales. They were all coiled on huge black ice stone bases. Waves of pressure rushed in all directions. Night Sorrow could only withstand it by using the power of his soul. Ice dragon skeletons. Those were the skeletons of the 3 Sky Master level ice dragon. However, Night Sorrow did not dare to touch them because there was a great formation in the basin. Some of the ice dragon skeletons had energy flowing between them, suppressing everything in the basin. After checking, Night Sorrow knew what kind of formation it was. It was the Dragon Formation, also known as the Thousand Dragon Formation. It was recorded in the Qing Emperor's letter. However, it was only a brief description, because even the world of Samsara did not have such a formation. The dragon formation in the canyon was centered around the ice dragon skeletons. Once the formation attacked, even the Sky Master level giants would not be able to get away with it. One had to know that in the eyes of practitioners, an ice dragon was already amazing. It could set up a great formation. This was the Thousand Dragon Formation, and it used the skeletons of the ice dragon as the core. Night Sorrow knew he had to resort to trickery. If he dared to activate the dragon formation, he would die without a complete corpse. He had to find a way to break it. However, Night Sorrow was not in a hurry. He had stabilized his footing here. No matter how strong the formation was, it was still a dead object. It was not as scary as a living ice dragon. After studying for a while, Night Sorrow felt there was still a chance. The dragon formation needed the skeletons of 1,000 ice dragons. Now there were thousands of ice dragon skeletons in the basin. The extra skeletons had disrupted the formation a little. Night Sorrow planned to use the extra skeletons to solve this problem. As long as the disturbance was stronger, the lethality of the dragon formation would continue to decrease. Night Sorrow first studied the array. When he discovered that he could move the ice dragon skeletons, he took out his ice dragon skin tendon net and threw it out to hook the ice dragon skeletons. Then he began to move. He wanted to use the ice dragon skeletons to obstruct the operation of the array. Night Sorrow did not like to make a big noise, so he was very careful when he moved the skeletons. Because he didn't want to cause too much of a ruckus, Night Sorrow's movements were relatively slow. 5 days later, Night Sorrow had moved 30 ice dragon skeletons that had nothing to do with the myriad dragon formation to obstruct and interfere with the operation of the formation. After 5 days, Yishang could clearly feel the pressure of the myriad dragon array decrease. Yishang knew that if he continued to move slowly, he would be able to enter in a short period of time. Chapter 1251. It was very difficult because the slightest carelessness would trigger the myriad dragon formation. Then, all his previous efforts would be wasted and everything he had done would be for naught. Because there was enough time, Night Sorrow was not in a hurry. This was the holy land and forbidden area of the ice dragon realm. Ice dragons would not easily enter. As long as he made it stable, it would be fine. Night Sorrow only dared to move the ice dragon skeleton a little, let alone collect it. The myriad dragon formation had the ability to suppress, kill, and defend. Night Sorrow was afraid of causing energy fluctuations and triggering the myriad dragon formation. It was impossible to directly collect it. Besides, Night Sorrow's target was not an ordinary ice dragon skeleton. It was the skeleton of an ice dragon. Although he was very excited, Night Sorrow was still very steady. He had walked 100 steps, but he was only halfway through the 99 steps. He would not waste all his previous efforts because of a single mistake. Time passed little by little. Night Sorrow moved the skeleton of the ice dragon and tried his best to interfere with the operation of the myriad dragon formation. This was a big project. He did not ask for much, just a gap that could allow him to pass through. As long as he could get close to the skeleton of the ice dragon, that would be enough. After a month, Night Sorrow had only slightly changed the myriad dragon formation. However, it was still not enough to enter. As soon as he finished this work, the concentric crystal in his sleeve vibrated. Night Sorrow took it out and connected it. Night Sorrow, how are you doing now? Datura asked worriedly. Very good. Don't worry, Night Sorrow said. At present, almost all the forces have returned. The ice dragons have discovered the invaders and have rioted. All the teams that went to the hinterland of the ice dragon realm have been expelled. They have all suffered heavy losses. The Qing Emperor's guards and the blood-robed guards have all returned. If you can't do it, come back too. We don't lack these resources. Datura said. She was a little worried. The ice dragons were alert and would wake up from their slumber. Therefore, there was no chance of entering the ancestral land of the ice dragons. Bad. How can it not be bad? The treasure is not far from me. I have to try no matter what, Night Sorrow said. What treasure? Datura asked. Ever since Night Sorrow had arrived at the core of the ice dragon realm, Datura had not taken the initiative to contact Night Sorrow. He was mainly worried about affecting Night Sorrow, so he did not know about Night Sorrow's situation. The skeleton of the ice dragon king. Yishang said with a smile. You've arrived at the ancestral land of the ice dragon? Datira's eyes were filled with surprise. It's been a month, but we can't get our hands on the ice dragon's bones, Night Sorrow said. After that, Night Sorrow exited the dragon cauldron. He spun the heart crystal for Datira to take a look. Then he returned to the dragon cauldron. So many ice dragon skeletons? How did you get in? Datira was shocked. Countless years had passed, and only the black-yellow great world had succeeded once. Now Night Sorrow had touched the ancestral land of the ice dragons. This was very rare. Night Sorrow then explained the current situation. Dragon array. You have to take it slow. If you can't do it, set up a teleportation array. Come back, I'll fight with you. Datira's eyes were filled with determination. She really wanted to help Night Sorrow. No, Alyo. I know you are very strong, but you don't know how many monarch rank ice dragons are out there. There is no hope in using force. As long as there is a situation here, those ice dragons will immediately surround and kill. I think there are still ice dragons alive, so it's useless for you to come. As long as you appear, there will be a big battle. Night Sorrow shook his head. Datira was worried about him, but he was also worried about Datira. He didn't want others to be implicated because of him. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Datira didn't say anything. This was the truth. Even if she entered the spatial treasure, the ice dragons would react the moment she appeared. It could even be said that the strongest expert of the ice dragon realm could arrive in an instant. Okay, take it slow. Datira nodded. She knew that Night Sorrow was infinitely close to success. Now he just needed to be patient. After breaking the heart crystal, Night Sorrow continued to exert force on the dragon array. He wanted to change the array and create a passage. With Night Sorrow's current array Dao cultivation, if he didn't have to worry about breaking the dragon array, he might need time, but it definitely wouldn't be as strenuous as now. Now that there were dragons outside, Night Sorrow had to be careful. He didn't dare to move too much. While thinking and analyzing, Night Sorrow continued to use the flying claws to move the unrelated ice dragons. The flying claws he was using now were newly refined. It was a flying claw that could be grasped tightly with a pull. It was connected to the ice dragon's tendon on the ice dragon's skin net. It was very convenient to move the ice dragons. Original. Every time Night Sorrow moved, he had thought it through carefully. In the Qing Emperor's dynasty, in the Qing Emperor's palace, in the Azure Sky Pavilion, the Qing Emperor was asking the Qing Emperor's guard about the situation this time. The Qing Emperor's guard reported all the details in detail. You're saying that you haven't seen Night Sorrow since entering? The Qing Emperor asked with a frown. Yes. After entering the Ice Dragon realm, we separated from His Highness. We haven't seen him since, the temporary captain of the Qing Emperor's guard said. The Qing Emperor nodded. Fill up the team and continue to wait for Night Sorrow at the entrance of the Ice Dragon realm. If any force ambushes him, kill without mercy. The Qing Emperor's guard left, but the Qing Emperor was still thinking. Your Majesty, the ice dragons are now on guard. It's difficult to do anything in the Ice Dragon realm, or even in the Ice Dragon realm. His Highness Night Sorrow should be back by now, Xian Daozi said. That's normal. But when it comes to Night Sorrow, we can't use common sense. Maybe that guy is lying in some corner waiting for an opportunity. He's stubborn and resilient. If there's an opportunity, he won't let it go easily, the Qing Emperor said. His only weakness is that his cultivation is a bit low. If His Highness Night Sorrow has the corresponding cultivation, some problems won't be a problem for him, Xian Daozi said. The Qing Emperor nodded. This was Night Sorrow's biggest weakness. It wasn't Night Sorrow's problem. It was that he hadn't been cultivating for long. Night Sorrow studied the dragon matrix every day. He moved bit by bit to make room for himself near the ice dragon's bones. As long as he could get near the ice dragon's bones, Night Sorrow would take the ice dragon's bones and run without hesitation. The ice dragon's bones were his main goal this time. As for the mystic ice unicorn king's bones, that was a completely unexpected gain. Night Sorrow was now like an ant moving a mountain. Every day, he would change the dragon's worm formation a little, moving it according to his own ideas and expectations. The process was very slow, But Night Sorrow didn't lack time. He did it slowly every day. In the 4th month since Night Sorrow entered the ancestral land of the ice dragons, a corner of the dragon matrix was completely changed by Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow opened a passage. Looking at the relatively stable dragon matrix, Night Sorrow felt that he could enter. Night Sorrow didn't dare to touch the ice dragon's bones guarding the dragon matrix, but there were 2 that had nothing to do with the dragon matrix. Chapter 1252. A genius will remember love in 1 second? I'll bring you a wonderful novel to read. Night Sorrow flashed into the 8-dragon cauldron and flew toward the center of the dragon swarm array through the passage he opened. After months of moving mountains, this was the last step. Night Sorrow was a little excited, but he was also very careful. After all, if something went wrong, all his previous efforts would be wasted. However, his early efforts were still very effective. Night Sorrow entered the dragon swarm array smoothly and approached the ice dragon skeleton on the left. This ice dragon skeleton had a stronger golden glow. Night Sorrow couldn't see its cultivation level. He could only rely on his senses, the length of its body, and the glow. Normal ice dragons were silver-white, but the ice dragon skeleton had a golden glow. The stronger the glow, the better. After exiting the 8-dragon cauldron, Night Sorrow began to set up the array. He couldn't be disturbed when he was collecting the ice dragon skeleton. He had to protect himself. Also, he had to escape after collecting the ice dragon skeleton. All of these required the array's interference. Night Sorrow set up his strongest array, the sky-sealing illusion-killing array, and it was a large-scale one. Near the ice dragon skeleton, without the interference of the dragon swarm array, he had no problem setting up the array. In order to ensure the array's strength, Night Sorrow spent a lot of money. He set it up for 3 days and used 20,000 Saint Spirit Stones. In front of the Ice Dragon King's skeleton, Saint Spirit Stones were nothing. If he could get the Ice Dragon King's skeleton, he would have made a fortune. Not to mention 20,000 Saint Spirit Stones. Even 1 million or 10 million Saint Spirit Stones wouldn't be enough to exchange for the Ice Dragon King's skeleton. Saint Spirit Stones could be earned and accumulated slowly, but the Ice Dragon King's skeleton was a heaven-defying treasure. After setting up the array, Night Sorrow didn't immediately activate it. If he did, there would be energy waves and the ice dragon skeleton would come earlier, which would be a waste of precious time. Looking up at the sky, Night Sorrow gritted his teeth. His soul power burst out and wrapped around the ice dragon skeleton, pulling it into the 8-dragon cauldron. The ice dragon's skeleton began to tremble. It slowly moved away from the profound ice stone base it occupied. Night Sorrow knew that it was difficult to collect the ice dragon's bones. It should be said that in the ancestral land of the ice dragon, all the ice dragon's bones were not easy to collect, because the profound ice stone base was a suppressing array formation. The suppressing array formation under the ice dragon skeleton was even more powerful. Now Night Sorrow wanted to pull the ice dragon skeleton down from the profound ice stone base, and then put it into the 8-dragon cauldron. The trembling of the ice dragon's skeleton caused the suppressing formation to break, causing intense tremors. Even the ground began to crack. P6 Night Sorrow didn't care about that. He just wanted to collect the ice dragon's skeleton. Rumbling sounds continued to ring out as the cracks on the ground grew larger and larger. At this time, the guarding ice dragons noticed the commotion and rushed over. However, Night Sorrow discovered another problem. All the ice dragons couldn't enter the Myriad Dragon Great Formation. The Myriad Dragon Great Formation didn't only affect outsiders, it also restricted the ice dragons themselves. Only when the ice dragon's lifespan was nearing its end would the Ice Dragon Great Formation be imparted through a soul imprint. At this time, hundreds of ice dragons were roaring outside the Great Formation. There was nothing they could do if an outsider entered the ancestral land of the ice dragons to cause trouble. The Myriad Dragon Great Formation was a double-edged sword. It stopped intruders and also stopped the ice dragons from entering. At this time, Night Sorrow roared and put the ice dragon's skeleton into the 8-dragon cauldron. At this time, Night Sorrow saw that there was still enough time. His body flashed and he went to the other ice dragon's skeleton to collect it. Since the myriad dragon great formation could stop the ice dragons, he continued to collect it. He pulled the second ice dragon's skeleton down the profound ice platform. At this time, the concentric crystal was vibrating, but Night Sorrow didn't have time to care. What time was it? Racing against time. A little bit of time could change the harvest and fate. After Night Sorrow collected the ice dragon's corpse, a 400-meter-long ice dragon appeared in the sky. It was shrouded in a golden halo. Ice Dragon. The strongest member of the ice dragon race and the patriarch of the ice dragon race. At this time, the ice dragon passed through the myriad dragon great formation and flew towards Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow waved his arm and threw out the Holy Spirit stone. He activated the heaven-sealing Slaughterlock formation and was about to escape. However, he discovered that there was a withered wooden staff under the second ice dragon's skeleton. It emitted a mysterious aura. Collect. Good things couldn't be missed. Night Sorrow waved his left hand and put the staff into the dragon cauldron. Then he took out the teleportation array disc with his right hand and was about to escape. Break. 10,000 Li Ice Seal. The ice dragon's huge claw slammed down and shattered the heaven-sealing illusion kill formation. Then it opened its mouth and ice energy appeared, freezing the surroundings. Night Sorrow, who was about to teleport, stiffened. Everything came to a standstill. The ice dragon was overbearing. After coming out, it settled everything in 2 moves. Night Sorrow knew that he couldn't escape. The ice dragon was too strong. All his arrangements and plans were useless. Night Sorrow communicated with the 9 regions origin bead and poured a large portion of his soul power into it. The origin bead wrapped around the 8 dragon cauldron in Night Sorrow's body. Then it floated out of Night Sorrow's body. Before the ice dragon could react, a purple halo erupted and melted the ice energy and the spatial barrier. It entered the spatial turbulence and disappeared. The ice dragon grabbed at the spatial turbulence with one of its front claws, but it grabbed nothing. With a roar, the ice dragon's body shook and turned into a middle-aged man wearing a white robe with golden patterns. Then he grabbed at the void with his left arm and grabbed Night Sorrow in front of him. What did you do? Lord Ice Dragon, first of all, I apologize. Although it's true that I sought an opportunity, I did disturb the Ice Dragon clan. Now that I've fallen into your hands, I have nothing to say. You can do whatever you want with me, said Night Sorrow. Survival of the fittest. It's not wrong for you to work hard for an opportunity. This king is guarding the ancestral land of the ice dragons. It's not wrong for him to capture and kill you. Your body is not an innate soul, but a doppelganger. But you should know that if the doppelganger dies, your trip to the ice dragon realm will be for nothing. But what did you do just now? The ice dragon looked at Night Sorrow and asked. That's right. I used some secret method to send away all the important things I obtained from the ice dragon realm. You can say that it's just a doppelganger that you want to kill me. Night Sorrow knew that his doppelganger was going to die in the ice dragon realm. After all, he had taken 2 ice dragon skeletons. Do you think this is what you have to face this king so calmly? You're wrong. You're sealed in ice, and the energy in your body is confined. You don't even have the right to self-destruct. If this king uses a secret method to seal your soul in ice, your original body will die as well. So you'd better hand over the things, said the ice dragon as he sized up Night Sorrow. Chapter 1253. Genius 1 second. Remember love go/little? I'll bring you a wonderful novel to read. Then have you heard of the dragon language curse? That's a forbidden secret technique. This king doesn't want to go too far. It won't benefit either of us. This king only wants to solve the problem. Killing you is not his goal. The ice dragon thought for a moment and said, this time, after going through so much trouble, I'm not satisfied with nothing. I'm very sorry for being disrespectful to my lord and the ice dragons. Also, I won't blaspheme the ancestors of the ice dragons. I won't destroy their bones. My goal is to set up a formation to protect them. Their bones will become the guardian deities. Night Sorrow didn't want to give up just like that. For the stability of the 9 domains world, he didn't care about losing a clone. Your spirit sea is surrounded by golden light. You clearly have a body of merit. Why are you doing this? The ice dragon asked in confusion. He knew that he could only talk now because Night Sorrow wasn't afraid. This time, I'm really guilty. But for the stability of the 9 domains world and my hometown, I'm willing to pay the price. Even if my body of merit is destroyed, I won't hesitate. The stability and prosperity of a world is the result of the efforts of generations. I'm willing to pave the way with my body so that the future generations can walk more smoothly. Night Sorrow said, "This is a body of merit. You're willing to sacrifice yourself for others. Let's talk. I hope we can solve this peacefully. You can take away both ice dragon bones." This king definitely won't allow it because the bones of his Lord Father are among them. This king will definitely not allow anyone to take them away. No matter the price, this king will get them back, even if he has to fight to the end of the world. The ice dragon loosened his grip on Night Sorrow. No matter if it's a human or a demon beast, they all have the responsibility of a son. A son can't watch his father be disturbed in his eternal sleep. My lord, which one do you want? I'll send it back. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and nodded. He really couldn't bring himself to snatch his father's corpse in front of his son. Good. This king will not make things difficult for you if you take out the Revelation Scepter. This king's father's corpse is the one on the left of the 3 ice dragon skeletons. The ice dragon stated his request. What heavenly mandate scepter? Night Sorrow was stunned. It's the staff that you collected in the end. It's the sacred relic of us ice dragons, said the ice dragon. Good. Are you sure? Yishan asked. This king, as the leader of the ice dragons, is naturally a man of his word. In fact, you were able to come to the ancestral land of the ice dragons with the cultivation of a 4-star king, and find the heavenly mandate scepter that the ice dragons had lost for countless years. Isn't this karma destined by the underworld? The ice dragon nodded. Night Sorrow then used his soul power to summon the origins of the 9 regions, which were not too far away. The origins of the 9 regions returned to their original positions. Night Sorrow placed the skeleton of the ice dragon's father in its original position. Then he bowed to it and handed the withered wooden staff to the ice dragon. The other skeleton of the ice dragon was once a traitor of us ice dragons. This king's father forgave him and allowed him to return to the ancestral land of the ice dragons. So after you take it, you can use it as the core of the formation. But please don't blaspheme it and don't use it as a material. The ice dragon took the revelation scepter and bowed to his father's skeleton. I won't. I can promise you this, Lord Ice Dragon, said Night Sorrow. F***CK. Okay, you can go back. This king thinks that you are the luckiest among all the people who came to the Ice Dragon realm this time, said the Ice Dragon. Lord, can I go to the Ice Dragon Abyss for a while? Don't worry, I will definitely not do anything that will harm the Ice Dragons, said Night Sorrow. The Ice Dragon Abyss is a holy land for the Ice Dragon clan, but it is indeed a dangerous place for you. However, this king will not stop you if you want to go. Take this. It has this king's aura on it. No ice dragons will attack you for 5 years. After 5 years, this ice jade will disappear. Take care of yourself, said the ice dragon. Thank you, Lord. I will restore this place to its original state. Then, Night Sorrow began to move the skeletons of the ice dragons that he had moved. He was afraid that there would be movement when he moved them, but it was much easier to move them back. While Night Sorrow was working, the ice dragon and the other ice dragons did not leave. In one day, Night Sorrow had completely restored the skeletons of the ice dragons. After saluting the ice dragon, Night Sorrow left the ancestral land of the ice dragons. He headed toward the ice dragon abyss. The ice dragon turned around to look at the ancestral land of the ice dragons and exited the great dragon matrix. Father, why did you let him go? Asked an ice dragon who had transformed into a young man. Because of the heavenly mandate scepter. The heavenly mandate scepter is related to resolving the trials of wind and fire. It has been lost for countless years. We can find it now because of him. Therefore, we ice dragons owe him. This time, some of our ice dragons died, but there is no mark on his body. It was not done by him, said the ice dragon. The ice dragons once again fell into silence. The ice dragons cultivated and did what they needed to do. However, they were more vigilant. The safety of the ancestral land of the ice dragons was very important. In the past, the ice dragons thought that it was absolutely safe, but Night Sorrow had really snuck in. If the ice dragon had not arrived in time, the 2 ice dragon skeletons would have been taken away by Night Sorrow. This kind of thing could not happen again. Night Sorrow returned to the place where he had come from near the ice dragon abyss. It was also the place with the most extreme cold currents and stayed there. He still planned to wait for the current cycle of the extreme cold currents to pass. Then he would take the opportunity to continue waiting. With 5 years to collect materials, Yishan felt that he wouldn't lack materials for refining in the future. As for whether he would leave after 5 years, that was up to him. If the ice dragon didn't attack during these 5 years, he could still continue to collect materials, even if he avoided the ice dragon for a while. Night Sorrow stayed in the 8-dragon cauldron, and carefully observed the ice dragon king's bones that were coiled together like a small mountain. The edges of every scale of the ice dragon king, which was at the level of an overlord, had a golden halo. This was because the space inside the 8-dragon cauldron was big enough. Otherwise, there would not be enough space for the skeletons of the ice dragon and the dark ice tiger king. Moreover, there were still 2 skeletons. Although one of them was damaged, its size was still there. Night Sorrow felt that it was going very smoothly. Although he had returned one of the ice dragon skeletons, Night Sorrow did not regret it. Not to mention other things, if the ice dragon wanted to return his father's skeletons as his son, there was no reason for him not to return it. It had nothing to do with strength or luck. While Night Sorrow was comfortably drinking, Datura vibrated the concentric crystal again. Night Sorrow took it out and connected it. Looking at Datura's pair of beautiful eyes, Night Sorrow smiled and said, "Don't scold me yet. Look at what this is." Night Sorrow turned the concentric crystal and showed Datura the ice dragon skeletons that were placed side by side with the dark ice tiger king's skeletons. "Ah, you really got it? Then why didn't you take the concentric crystal and did this instead?" Datura's face was full of surprise. Arriving at the ice dragon's ancestral land was one thing, and being able to obtain the skeletons of the ice dragon was another. It was not convenient at that time. This time, my efforts were not in vain. Fortunately, that ice dragon's temperament was good. Otherwise, it would have killed me with a slap. Night Sorrow said with a smile. It would be a lie to say that he was not afraid. No one was willing to die. "You also met a living ice dragon?" Datura asked. Now he wanted to destroy Night Sorrow's foundation and take over the 9-domain world, occupying a low-level world, and then guarding the interrealm teleportation array, would make the Tiannan dynasty the safest place. Shang Tianfeng's level was too low, so there were many things that he couldn't come into contact with. No one would tell him about the people that Night Sorrow could come into contact with, but he couldn't. Shang Tianfeng didn't know about Night Sorrow's situation in the world of reincarnation. If he did, he wouldn't have dared to touch Seven Night City. It was Night Sorrow's relationship with the Big Dipper King, the Xiantian dynasty, and some other people that made Shang Tianfeng feel threatened. It was the rapid development of Seven Night City that made Shang Tianfeng unable to sit still. Some people knew about the movements of the Tiannan dynasty. Qian Yu went to Seven Night City and told Taishu Yan, who was in charge of Seven Night City. "Thank you, Prince Qian Yu. We will make some preparations." Taishu Yan gestured to Qian Yu. Qian Yu was a half-step king and a prince of the Xiantian dynasty, so Taishu Yan attached great importance to etiquette. "I'm friends with Night Sorrow. His business is my business. Later, I'll talk to my father and mobilize people to Seven Night City," Qian Yu said. "I'll talk to Night Sorrow about this before making a decision," Taishu Yan said. She could deal with the development of Seven Night City, but when it came to war, she had to ask Night Sorrow. "That's fine. You can send a message to the Xiantian dynasty at any time. As long as Seven Night City needs help, there's no problem. When Night Sorrow returns, tell him to find me for a drink." Qian Yu left after speaking. He knew Night Sorrow's current situation. He didn't need to appear at all, but as a friend he had to come. North Star also received the news. She directly teleported to the city in the sky. Xie Lanjun didn't stop her. When she arrived at the city in the sky, she found Wu Lingfei and asked her for her opinion. The core of the 9 regions world is Night Sorrow, and the core of 7 Night City is also Night Sorrow. I'll go to the Sky Ceiling Hall later to talk to him, Wu Lingfei said. She wanted to fight, but she didn't have the strength. She was now a peak Saint King and had begun to comprehend her will, but she still wasn't a king. There's no need to talk to Night Sorrow about this. I'll take care of it, Datura, who had been wearing a veil and listening to their conversation, said. Aluo, you'll take care of it? Wu Lingfei asked. Yes, but it'll be a little troublesome. Datura nodded. Yes, this is a confrontation between 2 forces. It'll involve a lot of things, Beixing said. Night Sorrow insisted on taking care of the Tiannan dynasty personally. If he hadn't insisted, we would have just destroyed it, Wu Lingfei said. She was referring to the fact that she could not kill him directly. She had to use other methods to do so. Beixing was stunned. She didn't know who Datura was, so she felt that his words were a little too arrogant. After all, the Tiannan dynasty also had 3 kings and a very powerful old emperor. When the old emperor and the Yi clan were still alive, they were even stronger than the Big Dipper city. Now many people didn't want to provoke the Tiannan dynasty because of the old emperor. Then what does Aluo plan to do? Wu Lingfei asked. Night Sorrow doesn't have time to deal with this at the moment. Let's slow down the situation for now. I'll send someone to break the legs of their kings and let them recover for 3 to 5 years. The situation will stabilize until Night Sorrow returns, Datura said. Aluo, your idea is a little too bad, but it's also the most direct and effective method, Yu Qing said with a smile. Auntie also thinks it's appropriate. Let's do it that way, Datura nodded. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Xing, stay for dinner. Don't worry about this. It'll be fine, Yu Qing said to Beixing. Beixing was a little stunned. She didn't understand why Yu Qing and the others were so calm. However, since Yu Qing and Wu Lingfei both trusted Datura, she couldn't say anything else. After dinner in Sky City and returning to Big Dipper City, Beixing went directly to the Big Dipper Villa where her father lived. Xing, is here, Big Dipper King, who was talking to Greedy Wolf King, said to his daughter. I went to Night Sorrow's house and told them about the Tiannan dynasty, but they didn't care. A woman said she would deal with it. She was too casual about it. Beixing was still a little worried. You're worried because you don't understand. King gestured for Beixing to sit down. Chapter 1255. Xing, which power do you think is the scariest in the Tianxian world? Big Dipper King asked his daughter to sit down. The Xiantian dynasty, of course. It's under the command of the monarch of Xiantian, said Beixing. No. A few mystic sky majestic empires wouldn't be as powerful as a single 7-night city. Of course, only a limited number of people know about this. The Moon Demon Realm Lord is dead and has completely fallen. The Zhongyan sovereign doesn't dare to appear. Why? Because he offended Night Sorrow. Not to mention the Tianxian world. Even in the continent of the 9 clouds, no one can touch Jie City. It's just that some people don't know about it. I know some secrets because I have a good relationship with the monarch of Xiantian. Big Dipper King looked at his daughter. Master, is Night Sorrow's influence so big now? Big Dipper King was also very shocked. In the last battle of the continent of the 9 clouds, Night Sorrow killed the monarch of Zhongyun and severely injured the monarch of the Moon Demon sector. Shang Tianfeng was also there at that time, but he didn't think too much about it. In his heart, Night Sorrow was just a nobody, but in fact, Night Sorrow's guards were all monarchs. It was Night Sorrow who led the last battle. Shang Tianfeng is now obsessed. He thinks he can touch Jie City just because he has some connections with the monarch of the Yuanling world. He's finished, Big Dipper King said. Those people didn't come to protect the 9 regions world? Big Dipper King asked in surprise. Many people think so. They are Night Sorrow's subordinates. The news came from Monarch Shenshao. Monarch Shenshao has friends in the world of reincarnation, so he knows some things. He told Monarch Xiantian some things, and Monarch Xiantian mentioned it to me. Night Sorrow is now the fourth majesty of the Qing Emperor's dynasty in the world of reincarnation, and he is the most important one. He controls 7 armies, and the generals of each army are monarchs. His 30 guards are all kings, and the captain is a monarch, Big Dipper King said. That means Shang Tianfeng really doesn't have a chance to make a comeback. Monarch Greedy Wolf's eyes were filled with shock. During the last realm war, Night Sorrow only brought his personal guards with him, not his army. The Demon Moon Sovereign is dead. After that realm war, he ran back to the Demon Moon realm, but he was still killed. According to reliable sources, it was a woman in a black silk dress who killed him. At that time, she said that to offend Night Sorrow was to be blind, Big Dipper King said. In fact, he had not thought that Night Sorrow would develop so quickly. I just saw a woman in a black dress in the city in the sky. She said she would send someone to the South Sky Dynasty to break all of King's legs and severely injure him. Then she would delay the situation until Night Sorrow returns, North Star said. That's right. 7 Night City is not afraid of any provocation. Big Dipper King sighed. Father, aren't the princes the sons and daughters of the emperor? North Star asked. In the Qing Emperor's dynasty, the disciples of the Qing Emperor are equivalent to his children. Currently, the status of the Qing Emperor's disciples is far higher than his children. Let's not talk about it anymore. Let's wait and see. Big Dipper King did not want to talk about this topic because it involved too much personal matters. This guy is doing so well. Why didn't he say anything? North Star was somewhat dissatisfied. He is not a flamboyant person. This is his character. Big Dipper King admired Night Sorrow's character very much. Even if he had the strength, he was still very low-key. 2 days later, a rather shocking thing happened in the profound sky world. The South Sky Dynasty was destroyed by a single person. Monarch Shang Tianfeng was severely injured, and so were his subordinates, Yuan Qianba and Gong Yanglai. Most people did not know who did it, but there were still people who knew the inside story. The people in the city and the sky knew, and so did the people in the Big Dipper City. At this time, North Star understood that Datura was a ruthless person and really did not take this matter seriously. Shang Tianfeng also knew the reason, because the expert who attacked him was not from the profound sky world. An outsider attacking him made him understand that this was related to Night Sorrow. After that, the South Sky Dynasty moved on a large scale because they could no longer survive in the profound sky world. Shang Tianfeng did not come into contact with the higher levels, but he was not stupid. Originally, Shang Tianfeng was still worried that someone would stop him, but the move went very smoothly. In fact, no one cared if he moved or not. Datura did not care either. No matter where Shang Tianfeng went, she could catch him and deal with him. If Monarch Origin Spirit dared to protect Shang Tianfeng, then she would not be polite and would kill him together. Monarch Origin Spirit took Shang Tianfeng, but he did not know the situation. If he knew that it involved so much, Monarch Origin Spirit would not have dared to accept him. Datura told Wu Lingfei and the others that after Night Sorrow was going to fight, they would go to the profound sky world and kill whoever dared to stop them. Night Sorrow stayed in the beast skin tent, feeling the natural charm of the world of ice and snow, enjoying the impact of this environment. Every day he studied Array Dao, and at the same time, waited for the cycle of the extreme cold current. After 2 months, the extreme cold current changed, and became a normal extreme cold current, which also carried ores and resources. Night Sorrow became busy, the ice dragon skin tendon net in his hands constantly attacking. Occasionally, Ice would come over and stare at Night Sorrow angrily, mainly because it saw the huge net in Night Sorrow's hands. Night Sorrow explained and apologized helplessly, saying that he saw a broken ice dragon skeleton, and did not destroy it on purpose. No matter what, he had trampled on the ice dragon's dignity. With regards to Night Sorrow's explanation, the ice dragon's attitude changed, but it was not very friendly. Let's go. A year passed like this, and Night Sorrow's cultivation improved again. This time he entered the two-star king realm. When Knight Zoro's original body was comprehending will, he also took resources to cultivate so that his energy cultivation could keep up with his realm. In the Ice Dragon Hall, Ice Dragon, who had transformed into a human, was studying the heavenly mandate scepter in his hand. A young man stood beside him. "Father, that guy is still in that area. Every day, he studies array discs, cultivates battle techniques, and then fishes for materials in the extreme cold current. The hateful thing is that he used the ice dragon skin tendon net made from the bodies of our clansmen," the young man said. "How dare he?" Ice Dragon was a little angry. He explained and apologized. "It's a broken skeleton of our clansmen. I studied the huge net, and it's true. The dragon skin is lacking in energy, and it's not the skeleton of an ice dragon that died in a short time," the young man said. "If it's a broken skeleton that died in the past, then forget it. It's survival of the fittest. In this world, no one is right or wrong. His attainments in array formation are very deep. This king will find him another day and see what he thinks about the heavenly mandate scepter," Ice Dragon said, looking at the scepter in his hand. "He's too young. How can he understand?" The young man shook his head. "It has nothing to do with age. Our ancestors studied the heavenly mandate scepter for a long time, but there was no result," Ice Dragon said. Chapter 1256. The young man nodded and did not speak. This was the truth. The heavenly mandate scepter had been lost for an era, but the ancestors of the ice dragons had been studying it, but they did not understand it. In the history of the ice dragons, there was a fortune teller. He divined that if the ice dragons wanted to avoid the tribulation of wind and fire, they had to look at the heavenly mandate scepter. The heavenly mandate scepter could solve this problem. But in fact, countless years had passed. The heavenly mandate scepter was still there, but so was the tribulation of wind and fire. In the previous era, an outstanding member of the ice dragons appeared. He felt that the heavenly mandate scepter was a magic treasure, a protective magic treasure, but no ice dragons could understand it. He stole the heavenly mandate scepter and left the land of the ice dragons. The heavenly mandate scepter disappeared. When the tribulation of wind and fire arrived, this outstanding member, who was already an ice dragon, returned. His life force was taken away by the tribulation of wind and fire, just like the other ice dragons. Seeing that he had reached the end of his life, the clan leader, who was the father of the current ice dragon, forgave him and allowed him to enter the land of the ice dragons. When the ice dragon's clan leader thought of the heavenly mandate scepter, and went to the ancestral land of the ice dragons to find him, this member of the ice dragons had already fallen. Then the clan leader of the ice dragons also fell. The current ice dragon was very young back then. He was a 7th level saint level ice dragon, but he knew about these things. On Night Sorrow, when he was grabbing the best materials in the cold current, the ice dragon came. Night Sorrow, who had collected the materials, looked at the ice dragon tendon net in his hand, and was a little embarrassed. He cupped his hands to the ice dragons and said, "I told the other ice dragons that I did not harm them when I came out of the ancestral land of the ice dragons. This is an ice dragon with a damaged body that I found in the past. Let's not talk about this anymore. You didn't do anything wrong, but as ice dragons, we definitely feel uncomfortable seeing our clansmen end up like this," the ice dragon said. Night Sorrow invited Ice Dragon into the tent and handed Ice Dragon a jar of wine. The ice dragons live in the ice dragon realm and hardly communicate with the outside world. It has been like this for many years. This time, you came and communicated with us for the first time in countless years. It's not easy for us ice dragons. After an era, the trials of wind and fire will come. It's coming soon. The ice dragon opened the wine jar and took a sip. "Head hair, can't it be resolved?" Night Sorrow asked. He naturally knew how much damage the ice dragons could cause to the wind and fire tribulations. "No, you saw the bones in the ice dragon ancestral land. So many ancestors died in the wind-fire tribulation." Ice Dragon shook his head. "Nothing is absolute. Don't give up." Night Sorrow sighed from the bottom of his heart. "This king came to you to ask for your help. It's about the trials of wind and fire. Help this king take a look at the heavenly mandate scepter, and tell me what you think." The ice dragon handed the heavenly mandate scepter to Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow is young and inexperienced. Is this appropriate? Knight Sorrow was a little stunned. He didn't expect the ice dragon to ask for his help. There's nothing inappropriate. Countless ancestors of the ice dragons have been studying the heavenly mandate scepter, but to no avail. Perhaps you have a different opinion. The ice dragon nodded. Knight Sorrow took the heavenly mandate scepter and began to look at it. The heavenly mandate scepter was like a piece of dead wood, but it was extremely heavy in his hand. After carefully examining it for a while, Knight Sorrow discovered that the dense patterns on the heavenly mandate scepter looked like a matrix. Or rather, it was a matrix. "My lord, this seems to be a large matrix, and it's of a very high level. It's not something that can be understood in a short period of time," Knight Sorrow said. Because of the inheritance, ice dragons are not good at matrices. In this king's memory, there is only one dragon matrix. Generations of ice dragons tried to refine the heavenly mandate scepter, but they all thought that the patterns were a map or a technique. In the end, they got nothing. This king represents the ice dragons. "Please help us once and see if we can figure out anything." The ice dragon cupped his hands at Knight Sorrow, his eyes filled with pleading and respect. "My lord, you're too polite. I still have time, so I'll help you take a look." Knight Sorrow did not refuse. His matrices cultivation had just entered the high-level heavenly master level, and he was probably just getting close. This was because he had only studied 2 matrices. His understanding of matrices was not enough, and he still needed to study them at a deeper level. The ice dragon did not leave and stayed in the tent. However, under the influence of his energy, the natural climate of this area became better. Knight Sorrow also had things to do. With the extreme cold current, he continued to collect treasures. Without the extreme cold current, he studied the heavenly mandate scepter. The days passed like this. Knight Sorrow occasionally chatted with Datira. Knowing about Knight Sorrow's current situation, Datira was even more relieved. She was also sincerely impressed that Knight Sorrow and the ice dragon could coexist peacefully in the same tent. The patterns of the heavenly mandate scepter were vast and profound. Knight Sorrow worked hard every day to study them, and then engraved them on paper. 3 years had passed, and Knight Sorrow had engraved hundreds of matrices with dense patterns. His understanding of the heavenly mandate scepter had also deepened. The ice dragon could only wait. Countless years had passed, and the ice dragons could not do anything about the heavenly mandate scepter. Now Knight Sorrow had some results. At the very least, he had researched something. After copying all the patterns of the heavenly mandate scepter, Knight Sorrow studied them one by one. Although the ice dragon did not understand, he was also very interested in watching from the side. It just so happened that the extreme cold current was swirling. Knight Sorrow sat down and studied slowly. "Don't be in a hurry. Take your time." The ice dragon could tell that Knight Sorrow was really diligent in his research and did not waste any time. "I'm not in a hurry, but my lord is. I've been here for 7 years. If I can finish my research as soon as possible and help the ice dragons once, I won't feel guilty coming to the ice dragon realm this time," Knight Sorrow said. After taking the skeleton of the ice dragon, Knight Sorrow really felt that he owed the ice dragons. The ice dragon smiled. "You're being honest. The trials of wind and fire have troubled the ice dragons for countless years. Generations of ancestors have fallen. This king is still a little anxious, but you don't have to be too stressed. I have a feeling now that the sealing and sealing effect of this matrix is very strong. If it's set up, it can seal and seal almost everything. However, I feel like it's a cultivation method. If it's really a cultivation method, then it's a very powerful sealing and sealing secret technique. It also has a great sealing effect on one's own energy. If the energy does not leak out, then it will have a great advantage in battle," Knight Sorrow said. "Wait, say that again." After hearing Knight Sorrow's words, the ice dragon said somewhat anxiously, "It's a matrix with a very powerful sealing and sealing effect," Knight Sorrow said. "No, that's not it," the ice dragon king said. "It could also be a cultivation method with a very powerful sealing and sealing secret technique. It can control one's own energy and not leak out, Night Sorrow said as he sorted out the matrix. Chapter 1257. That's it. That's it. If we can make it so that no energy leaks, does that mean that we can lock our own vitality and prevent it from being taken away by the trials of wind and fire? Ice Dragon asked excitedly. Humans and monsters, no matter how strong they were, would lose some of their own energy. If they had good control, they would lose less energy in battle, and their battle power would last longer. Just like sweat and blood, they would lose their own energy. Yes, that's what it means. But whether it can be done, I'm not sure. Night Sorrow understood that the direction of the Heavenly Mandate Scepter's research might be right. I hope. You've given us hope. Ice Dragon was a little excited, then continued to work hard and see what's going on. What we've researched so far is just the surface. Night Sorrow shook his head. Let's go. Don't stay here any longer. Let's go to the Ice Dragon Palace. This king's sons will enjoy it. Let them send all the good wine and beauties to the Ice Dragon Palace. Ice Dragon said to Night Sorrow. I'm not going. I have to continue collecting the treasures in the extreme cold current. I'll study the diagram when I have the time. Night Sorrow shook his head. Dragons love to collect. In this king's opinion, even dragons aren't as greedy as you. There are plenty of treasures in the extreme cold current in the Ice Dragon Palace. You can take whatever you want. Let's go. Without waiting for Night Sorrow to speak, Ice Dragon's energy wrapped around Night Sorrow and brought him to the main hall of the Ice Dragon Palace. Ants. Standing in the Ice Dragon Palace, Night Sorrow felt like an ant. The throne in the main hall was so big, and the seats on both sides were mysterious ice platforms. They were also incomparably huge. To me, this is no different from being outside. Night Sorrow said with a bitter smile. Don't worry. Wait a moment. Ice Dragon waved his arm, and a light wave was released from the main hall. A moment later, more than 10 huge ice dragons flew over. Transform. Transform for this king. Ice Dragon waved his sleeves and roared. Following that, the dozen or so ice dragons transformed into human forms. There were both men and women. Sita, give this king some space in your courtyard. This king wants to live in it. Ice Dragon said to one of the men. The man bowed and accepted the order. He didn't understand what was going on. Shiyu, arrange for 2 of your maids to be sent to Shitai's courtyard. Ice Dragon instructed another woman. And you guys send all the good wine to the side courtyard. Do it immediately. Ice Dragon waved his hand to chase them away. Is that appropriate? Night Sorrow asked with a bitter smile. It's suitable. If they can figure out something, it will save their lives. Why can't the Ice Dragon stay in the Ice Dragon realm for countless years? Without the suppression of the Ice Dragon realm's extreme cold, the king-level ice dragons will be punished by the heavens when they leave the Ice Dragon realm. It's the wind tribulation and the fire tribulation. The outside world is nothing to others, but to us ice dragons, it's an extravagant hope to even take a look. Ice Dragon's words were filled with emotion. Don't worry. If I don't figure it out, I'll just stay here until the time limit is reached. There are still more than 20 years. I'm not a fool. I'll definitely get results. Night Sorrow also made a promise. The tragedy of the ice dragons also made Night Sorrow feel a little emotional. In addition, it also improved his cultivation in the Array Dao. After chatting for a while, Ice Dragon brought Night Sorrow to a side courtyard. The scenery in the side courtyard was not bad, and the size of the structure was also similar to that of a human's residence. This king has a piece of 10,000 years warm jade here. You'll be able to get used to it. Ice Dragon took out a large piece of white jade from his sleeve and placed it in the middle of the courtyard. Read novels free of ZFP. Night Sorrow felt much warmer. He took out the Heavenly Mandate Scepter and continued to study it. Not long after, someone came with good wine and 2 maidservants. They were both dragon girls. In the following days, Night Sorrow studied the Heavenly Mandate Scepter every day. Its complexity was comparable to the 9 Serenities slaughtering god formation. Ice Dragon's children also came often. They now knew what Night Sorrow was doing. He was helping the Ice Dragons. After a few months of research, Knight Sorrow could confirm that the patterns on the Heavenly Mandate Scepter were a combination of a formation and a cultivation technique. Lord Dragon King, I can confirm that it's a formation and a cultivation technique. However, I don't know if it's right or wrong. If you want to know, you can only deduce it during cultivation, Knight Sorrow said. This king is here. This king will be the test subject. Whether it's right or wrong, I don't care about this king. It doesn't matter if it's wrong. You said that you can do anything for your hometown. This king can do anything for his people, Ice Dragon said. Let's do it together. I can feel the flaws in my own cultivation. If it's wrong, it'll be bad luck. Haha, but if it's successful, it'll be equivalent to me cultivating the ultimate technique of you dragons, Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Let's cut the pleasantries. Let's continue our research, Ice Dragon said. This formation and cultivation technique came from the Heavenly Mandate Scepter. It's fine to call it the Heavenly Mandate Scripture, but it can also be called the Leakless Scripture. Next, let's cultivate it together. We'll experiment with the left arm first. If it's successful, we'll continue. If it's a failure, we'll break it. We'll continue with the broken limb. Knight Sorrow was very persistent in cultivating. Haha, this king likes your boldness. Let's do it. Ice Dragon was influenced by Knight Sorrow's words and vigor. He felt that Knight Sorrow's indomitable spirit really needed to be learned. Formations were also cultivation techniques. Knight Sorrow first created a large number of meteoric iron needles, then drew a formation diagram and showed it to Ice Dragon. The points on this diagram are the energy points. Later, we'll insert the meteoric iron needles into the arm and mark it with the meteoric iron needles. Then we'll gather the energy at the energy points and take root. Then the energy will flow according to the route of this cultivation technique, which is the route of the formation. Okay, I'll listen to you. Ice Dragon had no objections at all. Knight Sorrow and Ice Dragon began to cultivate the Leakless Scripture according to the formation diagram and the route of the cultivation technique. Their bodies merged with the formation and changed the strength of their bodies. It was painful, very painful. Yi Shang had cultivated the myriad Daos treasured book and had experienced all kinds of pain, so he could endure it. The Ice Dragon King was in so much pain that he grimaced. He had never experienced this kind of pain before. The Ice Dragon race was born with a strong body. After another round of cultivation, Ice Dragon wiped his forehead. Brat, doesn't it hurt? It hurts. It'll be fine once you get used to it. I've already condensed half of the formation points here. We'll know the results in a few days, Knight Sorrow said as he looked at his left arm. You've already condensed half, but this king is not even halfway. You're more than 100 years old. It's not a coincidence or luck that you have such achievements. Ice Dragon looked at Knight Sorrow and understood something. Then, the man and dragon continued to cultivate. 2 months later, Knight Sorrow finished condensing all the energy points of the Heavenly Mandate formation in his left arm. Lord Dragon King, the next step is to prove whether or not it's a success. Knight Sorrow reached out and pulled out the meteoric iron needles on his left arm. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.